Because, like, no matter what,
Yeah.
it's really about making her look good.
Exactly. It's all about her. I'm just standing awkwardly in the background.
Well, I would actually say you're more just hoping that the best pictures of her don't include your double chin.
Yeah, me doing a weird thing with my face.
Yeah.
Or I forgot to suck in my gut on that
Right.
one. Damn it! Because she likes it, but I don't like it. Now there's a picture of my gut everywhere on social media.
But you guys, Swag caught a little bit of the conversation before he left, but I ended up getting roped into about a 40-minute conversation with about 9 coworkers yesterday in the kitchen, including our boss's boss.
What are we arguing about yesterday?
We weren't arguing. We were discussing OnlyFans.
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 Okay.
And I don't know how or why, but I got into a conversation with our engineer, Joey. And we were talking about OnlyFans and how we're kind of confused by it.
Yeah, sure.
We are from an era of secretly signing on to the internet. You know, and your mom and dad would somehow not hear that noise.
Downloading things you're not supposed to download. Yeah.
Just so you could, you know,
check it out.
boobs.
Let's see what we got here.
Like we're from the era that did that. And
Yes.
so now there's this.
Or a movie would come out and you would have it on VHS
Yes.
and you would rewind and play and rewind and play and rewind and play.
I watched American Pie a lot. It was so funny. Definitely had nothing to do with Shannon Elizabeth. Not at all.
No, not at all.
Nadia, get out of here.
Wild Things. It was a great movie
Yes,
about
it was.
complicated relationships.
Love affairs.
And it had nothing to do with Denise Richards and Nev Campbell making out in a pool.
Never.
No, I would never watch that.
But we were talking about OnlyFans. Swag, how familiar with OnlyFans are you?
Just at the pure top surface level of I know what the name of it is, and I know you go there to enjoy yourselves.
You know it was originally not created for sex work, right?
I heard that.
And it got taken over. And now it's like the number one. It's the only way people know OnlyFans is sexual related content.
Yes.
yeah.
Do you know who the highest grossing male on OnlyFans is? We found this out
Never heard
yesterday.
of this cat. Still don't know.
Okay, so you heard the name at
I
least.
still think you made it up.
No, I didn't. Do you know?
If he doesn't know the name, I probably don't know the name.
He is 52. Why would you say that?
I mean, is it can you give me like a ballpark?
Black rapper.
Then I'm not going to know it. That's why I'm not going to know it.
That's racist.
I'm also 52 years old.
Yeah,
In case you didn't know that.
Yeah, you are. I've known that for a long time.
Yeah, I can name you Tupac, but it ain't him. He's not around anymore.
I knew Dirt was 52 internally in 2013 when he ranted against Elvis Presley. And I'm like, who rants about this topic?
people who take music seriously.
Tyga,
Yeah, I got nothing.
the guy who dated Kylie Jenner.
I got nothing for you, Bob.
No?
I got nothing.
Tyga is a rapper who's had a few hit songs.
You got to say it, Tyga. You got to say it like
well,
that.
it's Tyga.
Oh, okay.
It's Tyga.
Okay.
It's not trying to say cool.
He's not Tiger Woods. He's Tyga.
He's Tyga.
Okay.
Anyways, Tyga is the highest grossing male. Do you know how much he makes on OnlyFans?
I would guess, based on some of the things that I've seen, because you'll randomly see those posts of like the Catch Me Outside girl who went on OnlyFans when she turned 18, and I saw posted she made like $18 million in her first month or something crazy like that.
She made $50 million her first year.
Like, what are we doing here?
$50 million.
So he's not, he doesn't.
He's not her.
He's not her.
No.
I'm going to say on a yearly basis, how much does he make? Are we going yearly? Like how much did he make in a year?
Ballpark it if you want.
I'll go 10 million.
Okay. That's a pretty good guess. He makes $7.69 million
Okay, that's not bad.
a month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What does he do on his OnlyFans?
We don't know, and this sent us down like a rabbit hole of conversation
Is
yesterday.
it sexual content? Is it
We have no clue.
just here's my day-to-day life? I'm rolling a blunt. Like what are we? I'm playing video games. I'm rapping.
We don't know. You get no previews. It's you sign up and then you get the content. The content is hidden. And then we started talking about people who purchase OnlyFans and what leads you to do it. And then we got caught into a conversation with foot fetishes.
I was gone at this point.
Gay men sending D-pics to people.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't believe I was having this conversation in real time with not only coworkers, but like our boss. It was a pretty fun conversation.
She was into it. This is a world that I know nothing about. I just Googled what does he do on his OnlyFans. It says he charges his subscribers $20 a month.
Yeah.
to access his content, which can range from music, photos, or videos.
What are those videos?
Sounds like you're stealing $20 a month from a lot of people.
I mean, it's not stealing. People have to voluntarily do it.
Who has this expendable income around? Like because that's just one person. So I'm guessing if you're an OnlyFans like bro or lady, you're not just doing it for one person, I would imagine.
Oh no,
right? You're doing it for multiples,
1,000 subscribers.
So this is $20 for one random dude who's like rapping and doing some stuff, and then you're probably doing $15 for this guy or gal, $20 for this. Like this adds up quickly. How do we have this extra money laying around?
Cardi B makes $45 million on OnlyFans. Iggy Azalea makes $65 million on OnlyFans.
Do we need to start an OnlyFans?
Well,
does anybody want to watch me just putter around my house and
I put a poll question
make
up.
dinner?
I made a poll question on my Instagram account yesterday saying, have you ever thought about it? Yes or no?
Yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat if people would pay me to watch.
And I got responses back that basically like, nobody wants to watch this. Do what you want. And I go, never, ever underestimate what people want to see or what they will pay for. There's a lot of weirdos. In fact, I made a friend so uncomfortable. He's got a little bit of a belly. And I said, dude, I bet if you put some oil on that belly button and you stuck that finger in and out, people would pay like $6.99 a month to watch that.
I did admit to putting my finger in my belly button and occasionally sniffing it. Is that worth $9.99 a month? I want to see what the smell is. You can watch my reaction as I smell. How much you paying for that? $4.99? $1.99? What are we talking here? Where's the starting price?
I'm truly bothered now, and I regret taking us down this avenue.
Is that a niche thing on OnlyFans? Maybe there's people that are into that. Maybe I could find a side career. Everybody needs a side hustle.
Like, what if you named yourself on the website Andy Holes, and people are just paying to watch you put your finger in any hole on your body that they pay for?
Hold on.
Stick your finger in your nose.
I can't
stick it in your ear and say, yeah.
Some of them are off limits, is what I would say. Some I'm not willing to broach. I'm not willing to break the seal, if you will.
Some of it's one way.
Some of it's one way and
now
one way only.
One-eyed wonder weasel.
Some of it's one way. If I didn't have to do any adult content, I would do OnlyFans, but nobody would pay to watch my day-to-day life.
No.
This is me watching a Netflix documentary on World War II.
It's the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Swag, do you have any ankle or shin, leg, lower leg tattoos? I assume you don't. Okay. You have no tattoos, correct?
No tattoos.
Like, if I told you right now you could make $50,000 a year extra income by only posting foot photos,
I would do that in a heartbeat.
not a person would be able to identify your foot from the other white guy's foot. Would you do it?
Oh, foot photos?
And they want you to like put it in peanut butter with a little honey.
For an extra $50K a year, I would do that in a heartbeat.
You would?
How many do I have to upload a week? Like, how much time and effort is this taking?
I'm
It's like a photo a day.
Yeah. Again, you're asking questions. I don't know. I'm not a subscriber. I'm
as
guessing
long
a few
as
times
I don't
a week.
have to risk injury, like I'm dangling it above an alligator or some crap like that.
No. No. What?
I
I
don't
wanna
know
see
what
that
people
thing.
are doing out
I want
there.
that thing almost bitten off.
Yeah, put it in the gator's mouth.
I don't know.
Dip that big toe in
As
jelly.
long as I don't have to risk injury.
This is like
you want to
the,
see my feet? That's fine.
I feel like there's an equivalent with a sports story we will talk about today, but a lot of people, when golfers take the money, it's like you can't blame them. I can't blame guys for like that much money gets thrown at you. I can't blame you for it. It sucks, but I can't blame you. This is how I feel about girls and OnlyFans. Like, if I were a girl that was remotely attractive,
I'd have one.
I'd have one in a heartbeat. How do you say no to this level of income?
That's crazy.
I don't get it.
Guys pay a lot of money for this stuff.
And then you see there's these stories all over the country where teachers will get in trouble because their students will find out that the teacher is and it's like, well, first off, the lead story there should be maybe we should pay teachers more so that they don't have to go do OnlyFans. But then they just most of them just end up quitting their job as a teacher because it pays like $40,000 a year, and they're making that in a month on OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is like it's actually to me it's not even an argument of paying. We need to pay teachers more. Sure. There's teachers making like $1 million a year, so you can pay them more. You're not getting them away from that kind of money.
No, right.
We'll pay $80,000 public school, and you get yelled at by parents 3 times a year.
You were telling me the other day there was a guy and a gal that I'd never heard of before. That a guy they found his receipts on her OnlyFans, and he spent like $90,000 in a month.
$90,000
in a month.
In a month.
What does this guy do for a living? First off,
and then he got her face tattooed on him.
that seems like a normal, rational thing to do. Seems like you're operating well. Everything's going great in life. $90K in a month Think about all the things. How many? You're not even getting to like enjoy the actual object. It's just the view. Think about what you could buy if you wanted to buy $90,000 worth of. You'll go to Vegas. You could have a lot of fun in a week for $90,000.
Who do you think would clean up the most on the fan on OnlyFans? Is it Sukanik with the big bear thing that a lot of guys might be craving?
The big bear thing.
What? He's not a small man.
He is a large human being.
Will Ortner should be doing this. He makes no money. He's a substitute teacher who does producing part-time and fill-in stuff.
I think they both would have to do like some bald content. Maybe that's what I could do. Shave my head and do bald content, like rub it in honey. Like the Costanza. I want to rub my head in baby oil. Rub it all over your body.
Well, happy Friday, everybody.
Hey, happy
Hope
Friday.
you kept your breakfast down during that conversation.
So this is what happens when college football season's over, huh?
Should we ask a poll question? Which of us would you be quickest to buy? Not knowing any context of what our OnlyFans is.
Bro, nobody's going to want to vote on that poll
People
question.
will vote on this poll question. I'm throwing it up right now.
To be honest with
Who's
you,
OnlyFan? If you had to pick one,
between us three?
Between us three.
I think I would be the grossest, and I think Swag would actually be the sneaky best one.
You would be the grossest?
Oh, dude, I would do some nasty things for that kind of money. Are you kidding me? The morals go right out the window. $7 million a month? Hey, man, remember that time you did? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, I remember that.
Paid my house off.
I'll show you a nipple. You want to see a nipple? I got a nipple here. I'll show you one, maybe two.
I don't want you to post this question.
I'm throwing it out there right now.
awful.
I'm currently typing it. Go vote.
Swag, who would you subscribe to first, me or Dirt?
Oh, boy. I would. No.
The fact that you're even thinking about it is actually a win for me.
I'm moving.
I think I would buy Swag's OnlyFans before yours.
Sure.
For cooking reasons.
That's right.
Cooking naked?
Like,
Is he,
he doesn't have time. I hope he's not
rubbed
naked.
down one way or the other.
Like,
I'll tell you that.
Swag's he's a good cook.
He's not in bad shape.
He's not in bad shape.
Assless chaps while you're slapping some ribs with some sauce or something. That might do it.
We're onto something here.
Assless chap swag with rib basting. I like
$2.99
that.
a month. That's not a bad starting place. That's like less than a cup of coffee.
That's cheap.
Right? You get 40 people that do that, all of a sudden, hey, we're piling up money here left and right.
We just made you more money, swag.
It's like, oh, that's what he puts
I
in his
hope all
chili.
the bosses are listening this morning.
They participated in this conversation on a deeper level
that's
than
why
I can
hope
share.
They're listening this morning.
They're not. Well, we got a good show today. There's a lot to get to. We've got a Sprague line at 8:30.
It's a unique time of the sports calendar.
Football is dead, but it's alive.
It's alive, but it's dead.
It's the reverse of what I just said. Yes.
It could be alive or dead. I don't know. It's a little bit of both.
That's another good poll question.
Is football
alive or
Bill
dead?
Belichick's future right now. Is it alive? Is it dead?
How about Tomlin's? I listen to some Pittsburgh sports radio. on
They're
the
not
way in.
happy.
They hate that guy. They are so done with Mike Tomlin.
That was bad.
Not good.
He fired Matt Canada, too. Didn't get fixed.
So we'll Sprague line at 8:30. A lot to discuss. Dirt and Sprague, good to be with you on this Friday. We aren't charging for anything. This is the OnlyFans on the fan because you're the fan. Thank you for being with us. Let's get it going on the fan.
Friday, 'cause I've been working all week.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
I resent the comment that I wouldn't work hard enough on an OnlyFans page.
You wouldn't give the extra effort.
I don't know if that's because both of you have 9 jobs. You know, I have other jobs too.
You do. Yeah,
I do a
you
gambling show once a week for 1 hour.
every Sunday. BetQL Network.
I hop on 10 minutes before it starts and we just do the
You
show.
have 2
but-
young daughters. Don't I? Yeah, that's enough work right there.
Thank you. Hey, you know what? Thank you for
Yes.
seeing me.
Being a father's the hardest job, am I right?
It's the best job too. My little tykes woke up early this morning because I'm not going to see him till Sunday.
Where are they
Where
going?
are they going?
Well, I'm going to the coast.
Oh, that's right. You're going to the coast this weekend.
Yeah, dude, we haven't had like a parent getaway in over a year.
There you go. Somebody watched them. So just the two of you.
Somebody, yeah, I don't,
Somebody take them.
some adult
They're
is.
fine, yeah.
I,
They're almost at that point. Watch yourselves. You're fine. Lock the doors. You'll be okay.
about the time that Teddy ball game is somewhere between 9 to 14 months, I would highly advise you guys at that point to schedule like a weekend getaway for yourselves.
Yeah, I've had that advice from a lot of people.
It's an underrated.
Get some sleep, get away,
Yeah.
spend
Yeah.
some time with each
Like
other.
we have literally no plans. We're gonna get there. I'm probably gonna do some edibles, and we're gonna meander around on the beach and just lay around the bedroom.
Yeah, go
and just
find
do
a
nothing.
nice luxurious Verbo or something like that.
Ooh.
Binge watch, whether it's movies or shows.
There's a sauna at the place we're staying at. I can't
Hell
wait to just
yeah.
sit there and not care about anything
Yep.
in the world.
Now we're talking. That's a good little week. What's the weather supposed to be like at the coast? Are we dry this weekend?
I actually don't know.
You don't know?
I don't
Okay.
trust the app with the coast
Hopefully,
weather.
the roads, the highways that you're taking are passable because there was a lot of washouts.
I think I'm going my electric car and I'm nervous.
No, there's which
There's charges at the place we're
Yes,
staying, but
there you
I'm
go.
just nervous.
Sure.
You know?
First long journey in the new vehicle.
It's Trek.
Let's see if we make it.
Yes.
Will our wagon break down on the Oregon Trail?
I've had no problems getting to the coast. Bend in Seattle is where I got a plan.
For sure. It's always good to plan, but I'm just a little nervous just
Yeah.
because, you
You'll
know.
be fine.
Big stuff happening this weekend. The Heisman Trophy ceremony. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., and what most people believe is
The
going to be the winner,
Odds-on favorite.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Where are we at on this award versus where we were at a week ago, this exact day? This was unfortunately a week ago today.
Yeah, we don't need to go over that again. We don't need to talk about that.
Oregon
Nothing happened last
got
Friday.
dominated by
Nope.
Washington in the Pac-12 title game as a 10-point favorite. And since I had to do it, I've had a rough couple weeks from an Oregon State angle. But since that game, Daniels has become the overwhelming favorite. And, you know, I don't think either local guy will win it. This seems fairly obvious to say. I'd be happy if they did, though. Despite my opinions on Bo Nix like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would be truly happy if both or either one of those, not both, but either one of those guys, Washington, Oregon quarterback, did. Feels like it's Daniels, though.
Yeah, I think there has unquestionably been a damper. I don't know about Seattle. I can't speak for Husky fan, but at least for Oregon fan, of course, there's a damper on it. It felt like last Friday, if he wins the game, he's probably going to win the award or at least have a decent shot at winning the award.
He was the favorite going in. I
He
think
was.
it's safe to say he wins the award if they win that game last weekend.
And they lose, and so you assume that not only did the team's goals come to an end, but also his goals came to an end in terms of the Heisman Trophy. What I will say, though, I have to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to watch it live. But I'm going to DVR it and I'm going to watch because there's something that, you know, as an Oregon fan, when you have a disappointing end to the year like this, you always try and find the perspective that you need. And the perspective is like you're playing in the Fiesta Bowl. That doesn't happen every year. It's still a very cool thing to play in a New Year's Six game. I'm still pissed about the opponent. It's dumb that they're playing Liberty. Liberty shouldn't even be the team in the New Year's Six game. SMU was better than them basically all season, but we use the undefeated to non-undefeated logic, which didn't work for Florida State, so let's make it up as we go.
Touche for that point.
Yeah, that's what the legit. I think SMU lost one game, and they
Yes.
said that's why they didn't go to a New Year's Six game. But
Interesting.
Liberty was undefeated. But I'm trying to find that perspective of that's still cool, and it's always cool to have a Heisman Trophy finalist. This doesn't happen every year. There's only been, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, 3 in the history of the program.
Yeah, LaMichael.
Joey was the first,
and
Marcus
LaMichael, yeah.
won, and LaMichael. That's it. Those are the only ones you've ever had. We haven't had a Heisman Trophy finalist in 9 years since Marcus won the award in 2014. So just to see the show, to watch it, to see what they talk about with Bo, there's an appreciation there, I think, not only from his side for the university, but from the fans to him, for what he's meant for this school for the last 2 years, for uplifting a fan base that was pretty down 2 years ago when a coach left and you weren't sure what your future looked like. And, oh, God, here comes Bo Nix. And it couldn't have turned out any better. And so I want to watch and show him some appreciation because he's been awesome to watch for the last 2 years.
Would the Heisman, now that we're going to an expanded playoff moving forward and all emphasis on the importance of that little tournament at the end of the year, would the Heisman do itself a favor and wait and award it after and include those games in it in January sometime?
See, I don't.
Or would that
It's a regular season award, though,
de
right?
facto
That's a
limit
tough
the
part.
field?
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, like, even last week we say if Oregon wins that game, he wins the Heisman. That's not a regular season game. I'm always kind of confused by this. It's supposed to be a regular season award.
Some people vote before the conference championship games happen.
I know,
because of that fact.
But all those
But there are people who I feel like
all those stats traditionally count in your stats.
Yeah.
But the odd, that's what's odd about it. The odds of the players,
Like the NFL has regular season stats and playoff stats,
Right.
and they're separate.
but the odds of players changes sometimes based on the criteria of what happened in the conference title. So, like, it is a regular season award.
Yeah.
I think all the votes should be sent in before conference title games, but they clearly aren't, because why else would Vegas change odds from Bo Nix
the
minus
only
150 to Daniels
Right.
minus 1,400 after
Right.
one
Yeah.
football game?
The only reason I would include it in there is
when Daniels didn't
because
play, ironically.
Yeah.
you look at the schedules, and this is what we talk about. How many games do the top teams play where they're playing somebody that's got a roster of their caliber? 2 or 3 a season?
Very rarely.
Now you're going to get 3 of them in a row, and you're going to have a real evaluation. There's not going to be trumped up stats in any of those games. If you go out and you ball out week after week in that tournament setting against teams that have rosters and players that look like your team, I think it's a more fair evaluation of who's really good and special and who is just trumped up by everything else around him.
Pounding bad team. And that was the only allegation against Daniels this year. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best players in the country. That was the only argument against him, is how many of those numbers came against a Georgia State, or you're in garbage time in the fourth quarter. A lot of them did.
A lot
right?
of those numbers.
And so that was the argument of why is this guy the front runner for the Heisman when these other dudes, Penix is 2-0 head-to-head against Oregon, and Nix didn't have a bad game essentially all year. I know he wasn't great last Friday, but for the regular season, he didn't have a bad game all year, and in some of their bigger moments, he came up with big plays, and he wasn't the reason they lost the first Washington game. It just, I don't know, there's also an appreciation, as painful as it is, because my team lost the game. It's kind of cool that Oregon and Washington were at the forefront of college football this year.
They were.
And their rivalry, the first time around, was one of the most watched games of the season. It was one of the best games of the season. The second time around, it was the most watched Pac-12 championship game ever. They went out with a bang. And now the two quarterbacks are Heisman finalists. Washington has never won a Heisman trophy for as good as their program has been for a long time.
Look at the Big Ten.
And I think that it's,
Two Heisman finalists.
there's a unique aspect of rivalries where usually you hate the other team and you hate the other players. That's been the really tough part for me this year as an Oregon fan. I don't really have anybody to hate on Washington's team. Like,
I disagree with that a little bit. I've in years where, like, your teams are good and other teams that you hate are good, I never. It takes a certain athlete in college for me to go, I hate the player and I hate the team. You can hate the team. I think you can hate people on social media.
Usually it's the coaches that'll start
It
rubbing
could be
you the wrong
coaches,
way.
but
what do you say bad about
and-
Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, no.
He doesn't
Kalen's like
say or do anything
Nope.
controversial. He just coaches football at a really high level. And
After the game Friday, he waited for Bo Nix in the back of the room to finish his press conference to go shake his hand and thank him for being a great competitor, and it was fun to compete.
we
against.
also met with him on the field after
the
the
game.
shake with Lanning. He met with him twice. So, like, the respect is there. I know the fan base is just, no pun intended here, bark at each other. That's all that is. And, yeah, you grow up hating the other school because you just grow up that way. But I largely never really hate the players out of the deal. Oregon State plays Oregon. Hey, I actually like a lot of Oregon players. I separate everything. don't root for this school or don't like this
colors, yeah, the
coach.
jerseys,
Yeah, it's not ever really the players. How do you hate Odunze and Penix?
I know. Penix is his turnaround story, man. It's similar to Bo's. It's unbelievable where those guys were 2 years ago, where they are. And so there's an aspect of the last 2 years of Northwest football have been really fun to watch. It sucks that it's all ending and we're all moving on, and it doesn't make any sense to me still. But there's a final appreciation thing that I'm not going to watch it live, obviously, but I'm going to DVR it and watch it when I get home tomorrow.
A massive letdown last night. Next on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Toro Mexican Kitchen. Transport yourself to Baja, Mexico with delicious regional dishes and cocktails. Book your table today at toropdx.com. First on The Fan, Thursday Night Football, not the dud many expected. Bailey Zappi throwing for 3 first-half touchdown passes, leading the Patriots to a 21-18 win in Pittsburgh. They end a 5-game losing streak. Zappi finished 19 of 28 for 240 yards and a pick to go with the 3 scores. The NBA in-season tournament championship is all set. The Lakers will face the Pacers right here on The Fan Saturday night at 5 o'clock. Indiana getting past 19 the final. There was no drama in the second semi. The Lakers housed the Pelicans 133-89. LeBron James 30 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists. Tonight, the Blazers back in Moda Center hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Jeremy Grant still in the NBA concussion protocol, not available. Center DeAndre Ayton's been upgraded to doubtful with his knee soreness. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports Northwest Dallas, 7.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. Across the Rose Quarter, the Winterhawks are in action, hosting the Spokane Chiefs. 7 o'clock face-off tickets available at winterhawks.com while they last. And the Oregon State men's soccer team, 90 minutes from a spot in the national championship game. They will face Notre Dame tonight in the College Cup semifinals. Kickoff scheduled for 5:45 this evening on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your home for bowl games and the college football playoff. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Oh, we'll get into some football dealings, but I want to talk about this quickly. We had the Cup check, the IST semis yesterday. Some day game basketball between Pacers and Bucks, followed by Lakers and Pellies.
All over the 2 o'clock tip, man. More of those. I loved it.
Yeah, I saw media members at the game complaining, the arena's half full. Who wants to do games this early? And I was on my couch going, I'm actually enjoying this.
Loving every second of
You
this.
leave me alone.
This was great. I was doing some prep for Saturday, sitting around at the table, had the game on. It was awesome.
I want to focus on the latter game. The Bucks losing to the Pacers doesn't shock me. That's the Bucks team that I thought was going to play against the Knicks, but they didn't, and there they were.
The headlines for them are the same. They're confronting their coach after the game.
Oh,
You
another.
need to-
Hey, about that, huh, Dirt? Huh? What'd I tell you? They'd already had 4 or 5 of them. Let's add another one.
Another
to it.
team meeting. This will be the one that figures everything out.
They're going to S-can this guy after the new year. It's just evident they're going to fire him.
Just hire Terry Stotts. What are we doing here?
Actually, don't think that'd be a bad pivot for him.
Yep.
I want to focus on the latter game. What do we make of Zion? Like this moment and opportunity, like you don't have to say that the in-season tournament is a playoff game or as big or important, but it's a tournament, right? And these guys have gotten to the semis. They've gotten themselves to Vegas. Here comes 39-year-old LeBron in season 21.
Smoking you.
Still being the most relied upon player on his team. And Zion Williamson, who's basically hyped into his own draft as the next LeBron, shoots 8 times, 0 3-point attempts, 1 of 6 from the free throw line, and scores 13 points with 2 rebounds.
They were outscored 43-17 in the third quarter.
They lost by 44.
43 to, I mean, I turned it off obviously halfway through the third quarter because they were trailing at half, and I was like, I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'll watch halftime. And then you get like 5 minutes into the third quarter. It's like, nope, this game's over.
Did I read the Lakers haven't beat somebody that bad in like 40 years or something?
I would imagine that's a real stat if you did read it. How many games do you ever win by 44?
It doesn't happen very often throughout the course of a season.
Look, I think there are 2 topics out of this game for me. One, absolutely acknowledging LeBron played less than 25 minutes and scored 30 points on 12 shots. It is stupid that this is still a thing for him, that
Yes,
he
it is.
may, we don't know, Pacers are hot, he may win the first in-season tournament, which doesn't mean he has a title, and let's do the Jordan thing.
I'm assuming there's an MVP of the tournament as well to go along with this.
Yeah, I mean, I still would vote Halliburton.
Halliburton's got to do it. Halliburton's got less.
You know, if the Lakers win though on Saturday, they want LeBron to be the guy holding that trophy.
Well, I would imagine the winner, just like the finals, gets the MVP. But Halliburton is deserving, and I'm so glad that people are finally kind of getting an idea of who he is.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to watch yesterday.
The LeBron stuff is there, and I don't think I need to paint a picture. It's crazy that he's still doing this at this level. I think this is a bigger Zion conversation. This is the moment a Zion should be popping up. This is what, year 4?
Yeah.
Year 5? Like,
What year
he's
are
not
we
a
in?
rookie. This isn't year
No.
2. Like,
But he's
how
only,
does he play that poorly?
How many games has he actually played? What, a season and a half worth?
He played did he miss his rookie season or did he play his rookie? He missed just a chunk of it,
Give me a
right?
second here. I'll find all these
Because
things.
his first year
He
was in
played-
2019.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So he has played games started, games played. 24. This is from rookie year to this year. 24 year 1. Remember, he came back late. He had that
Yeah.
Spurs
That's right.
game.
That's right.
61 the year after that. 29 last year. And so far, he's played 19. I had to see what the Pelicans' record is right now, how many games they've played.
So he's played less than 2 full seasons.
They've
And
played
yes.
they've played 23 games. He's played 19 of the 23.
So
He's played 133 career games.
Yeah, so he's played about a season and a half. That's all he's actually played.
But that, I mean, that's part of his story, is it not?
Yes,
He's been
it's a
injured.
huge part of his
It
story.
was funny. I didn't end up. I parlayed the 2 games together when I bet on them, and I just figured Bucks and Lakers are going to win. I doubted the Indiana Pacers, and I learned my lesson the hard way. I almost thought about rebetting the game. I decided not to for some reason, but the reason I thought about rebetting the second game was, I don't know if you guys were watching the lead into it. There was like that weird hour and a half between the 2 games, and I flipped over to TNT, and they were doing like the normal show, and there was a red carpet interview thing going on, and they interviewed Allie LaForce, I think was a gal doing it. She interviewed Zion, and he looked like, 1, he didn't want to be there. 2, he looked like he was hung over as all hell, like giving 2-word answers. He dropped a yes, sir to her and then apologized. And I'm like, dude, this guy is out of it right now. And just because of that, I almost logged in and gambled on the Lakers last night. I decided not to because I was so enthralled with what was happening in that horrible Thursday night football game. But that was embarrassing. Like, to have that performance in that moment, to your point, it's not an NBA Finals. We talked about this yesterday. What does it mean? I don't know, but it's a bigger game than a regular season. And they completely no-showed. He no-showed. CJ was terrible. Like, that game was awful, and the Pelicans looked awful last night.
I've noted this before. Guys like LeBron, guys like Zion who come in with the hype, it's really kind of wild to me how different we hold these athletes with standards and expectation, where LeBron comes in, he's 18, he has a chosen one tattoo that he's given himself. Or he didn't do his own tattoo, but he gave himself the nickname. And he comes in with this Jordan-level hype, and of course that naturally sets up the Jordan people to hate him basically his whole career, not allow them to enjoy LeBron at all.
Yeah.
And he delivers 4 championships, 10 finals appearances, 4 MVPs, the all-time leading scorer, delivers. And I feel like if LeBron was to be Zion in this situation,
he'd be done. He'd be eviscerated every day.
I don't know where people are at on Zion. Maybe they don't care anymore. Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe they think that this is who Zion is. He's not that guy. But it's just wild to me how they both kind of come in with this incredibly huge hype and enthusiasm, and one still gets criticized almost game by game for not doing something,
Right.
and the other skates off probably half drunk in Vegas, scoring 13 points and only grabbing 2 boards when he can jump 47 inches and he's 6'8". It's unbelievable.
It just doesn't make sense. I think the jury is still out on him because he's got to be able to stay healthy to even analyze what kind of player he is. He's got to be available. So far, it's been a massive disappointment. And this is even coming from somebody who advocated for trading for Zion in the offseason because he's 23 years old.
You would say it's a massive disappointment?
I would argue it. I don't know how you don't. He's played less than 2 seasons. Like, these are Greg Oden kind of numbers. Now, he hasn't suffered the career-ending injury that Greg Oden eventually did early on in his career, but like, you got to be available, man. And maybe
also off the court thing this summer with the porn star stuff. Like,
it's not a good look when you have everything else going on. Whatever you want to diddle porn stars. I'm not going to.
No, it's not the judgment on that.
Sure.
It's just the distraction of it off the court for your franchise. Hey, what do you think about your teammate having sex with all these porn stars and being outed?
Talk about awkward maternity photos. Those were awkward maternity photos. But I'm rooting for him because he has so much potential and had so much promise, and there's nobody that has captivated the college basketball audience like Zion in the last 20 years. I don't even know if there's anybody that comes close. When he played played North Carolina and blew out his shoe and everybody was sitting courtside, that was one of the big, I was so jacked for that game. I can't even remember the last time I was that excited for a college basketball game. Eventually, you got Duke UNC in the Final Four, but that's different. That's a Final Four. He captivated us as an audience, and it just hasn't been there. He shows flashes. He'll have moments, and you're like, dude, this guy can dominate in the NBA. He's a freak athletically. There's nobody that can stop him from going to the hoop when he wants to go to the hoop. I think he's a different version. This is a little disrespectful to Anthony Davis, but he's like a different version of Anthony Davis where he's smaller and more stout. Davis is taller and longer. But you just look at them and you say, how are you not dominating every game that you play? There's nobody on the planet that can guard you. There's nobody on the planet that can stop you. It's just, I don't know if it's just being conservative in your own head. I don't know how to compute it, but you should both be better than you actually are, which is tough to say because Anthony Davis has had a good career, and I don't mean to offend him, but there's games he disappears and LeBron carries that team. He's like, he's 40 years old, man. Pass the torch already.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the final thing I'd say. It was. I eventually turned this off. I'm not going to watch a 40-point beatdown.
It's awful.
But I'm watching this early in the second half as they started that run, and I just like from the first half into the second half, the guy setting the tone, the guy making the play, the shots, the oohs, the ahs. It's the 40-year-old. Not the 23, 24-year-old player that had the same level of hype as the guy that's 40 doing it.
Yeah.
And I think there's your reality check. You want to see the tears of pro athletes and kind of appreciating when you do have greatness in a sport. It's watching the Zion stuff versus 39-year-old LeBron. And you see it right in front of you going, oh, yeah, that guy's living into the moment and delivering on a big moment game. That guy looks like he's half hungover and doesn't care.
It just looks like he's out of it.
And that's what's tough about having the number one pick in the draft or taking the player we're all hyping up the most. It doesn't always pan out that way.
Who went after him in that draft? Who were the other guys in the Zion
That was the
draft?
Ja and RJ Barrett draft. I think it was Ja and then
Okay.
RJ Barrett were the top 3.
So, splitting hairs a little bit. Their Ja's been very good, but obviously issues.
Yep.
RJ Barrett's been fine.
He's been okay.
He's been okay.
He's a good role guy.
It's not like there's that guy right afterwards. You're like, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes was the next pick and we didn't take him.
Coming up next, why did we just move on so quickly? And then I want to dive into some NFL. Dirt and Sprague back with some football next on The Fan.
Oregon Duck. This This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Want to dive into some NFL stuff coming up at the top of the hour. An old friend of the show saying a very controversial thing yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. You still have yet to deliver a Quake take this week. You teased it. You never did it.
Oh, I got a Quake take for you today. I got one.
Your teasing of Quake takes is weird.
Well, you
'cause-
stole my Quake take the other day. I had a Quake take, and then you use it in Zig or Zag, and I can't Quake take a Zig or Zag.
I mean, the Zig or Zag was first.
Exactly. You got to steal it. You have the
You
first half
say
of
I
the show.
stole it as if
You
we
stole
both
it.
didn't think about the same
You
thing.
stole my take.
By the way, Swag, people really want to see you dipped in honey,
Oh, nice.
shaking your honey buns. I think you would win this, by the way.
He's running away with it right now.
He is?
I told you. I think it's
Absolutely
it's
is.
the cooking content.
I think there's that. I think there's a little more mystery.
Yeah. Are those gray? Are they gray down there? Is it brown?
Yeah. Shaved, fully grown.
Carpet matching the pubes?
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
I want to quickly just address something because we've talked a lot this week about Florida State and controversy and debate. And I know we briefly touched on this, but for the last time of the week, because after this week, I'm moving on. Like, I've already kind of done it. The playoff is what it is. I'm taking Alabama as much as I railed against them being in the playoff.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
I just, for the final time, can we all just acknowledge out loud the lack of conversation involved with the fact that the one seed in this playoff cheated this year?
Yeah.
Their coach is working on an extension, but he won't sign it because they want him to, in writing, say he won't pursue an NFL job, and right now he refuses to do that. He might agree to it during the show or after the show today because he's going to make $11.5 million a year. He coached 3 games. They basically acknowledged they cheated with the suspension late in the season, and they beat Iowa and got bumped up to the 1 seed in the playoff. And so all the controversy's been Alabama and Florida State,
Yes.
and they've just been allowed to sit there, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's calling them out. It's just there. Hey, the team that cheated, they're the best team in football, and we don't care. We're putting them in.
The best thing was I love that they had to play Alabama in the first round. Like, that was part of the reason I was genuinely happy
Do you
about
think
it.
that was a punishment
I
in a way
do.
by the
I
committee?
do think it was, and that's one of the main reasons. Look, we don't need to get into the debate again. I believe that they would have beaten Florida State, and I didn't want more of a red carpet rolled out for Michigan. I want them to have to actually go beat somebody, and good luck. Go beating an Alabama team. I know Ken Barkley likes them. We'll see how that game plays out. This is why, though, ultimately, I find the whole conversation hilarious. Nothing matters, and I don't get enamored with the numbers that are next to your team name. Like, Alabama was a one-loss team this year. They won the SEC. Who was their one loss to? It was to Texas. Texas is in the college football playoff. They scheduled that game as a non-conference game. They had to play Texas in week 2. Yes, it was in their own building, but they had to play them in Austin last year. That was their non-conference game, where Michigan got to play East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. And this is where I wasn't that offended by Alabama getting in, is it sends the message that scheduling doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you play. Doesn't matter how hard you make things on yourself. You just go do what Michigan did.
They'll win 2 games a year.
What's
That's
the
all you
point of
do.
playing anybody? Because
Right.
all that matters is going 13-0. And I felt like over the last week or so, we have been so wrapped up into this debate of Florida State or Alabama, and there's this anti-SEC bias and an undefeated. How did they get left out? And I've been over here the whole time saying, what about Texas? Texas is also a one-loss team that jumped Florida State, but nobody cares about that. And what about Michigan? Michigan played nobody in non-conference. They cheated their balls off all year, and they didn't play an actual game until November. They didn't play Penn State until like the 9th game or 10th game of the season. They were like 10-0, and their best win was Rutgers. Like, what are we talking about here? Nothing matters. This is all stupid. The system is dumb. But yes, I am rooting very hard against Michigan in the playoff because it's ridiculous how they have been allowed to skate. And Florida State was held to a different scrutiny, and Alabama was. It's just, Michigan's the 1 seed. That's fine. Let them be the 1
Well,
seed.
you highlighted it with Liberty on the Oregon conversation on the Heisman stuff, right? Liberty goes undefeated, and it's like, well, they were undefeated, so they got the Fiesta Bowl. And it's like, well, you just told us undefeated didn't matter. What?
It doesn't matter, right? I thought it didn't matter.
Boy, it's
And
like
it shouldn't matter. And I would maintain, I don't think it should. You should analyze who have you played, who have you beaten, who was your loss to, how did you schedule, when did you play them? Like, all of that stuff should go into considering teams.
it's wild to me that they really cheated this year, admitted it, and they
For
just
multiple years.
nothing happened. Yeah. I mean, you can track the record against Ohio State for the last 3 years. There's a lot of intel that may suggest that's kind of when it started. And oh, look at that, we're 3-0 against Ohio State the last 3 years.
Things are going great.
Talking about OnlyFans earlier. How much would Connor Stallions make to be naked on camera, cheating until his balls came off? You said
Ooh.
cheating your balls off.
Yeah.
How much would Connor Stallions make on the internet by doing that? Play chess until your balls fall
I
off.
think Ohio State fans would pay a lot of money for that to watch that guy's balls fall off. That would be great content in Columbus right now.
Would it?
Make him pay.
Yeah. Bunch of cheaters. I can't believe they got rewarded like that. It's just the committee got dragged for the whole Florida State Bama thing. Sure.
Yeah.
They absolutely skated on the Michigan story. I really think they did. The team that openly cheated, fired a coach, got rid of Stallions. He had a manifesto,
Yes.
and Harbaugh coached 3 total games.
Yes. For 2 different cheating scandals, by the way. They were There was a recruiting cheating scandal at the start of the year.
cheeseburger
and
scandal.
then the cheating in the game
Yes,
scandal at the end of the year. So those were the different suspensions.
Unbelievable.
And then on top of all of that, they got to play Iowa in the Big Ten championship game.
And then they moved up for beating Iowa.
For beating Iowa.
Well, Washington had to play Oregon as a
Yes, a
double-digit
top
dog.
5 team, a team that they already beat, the only team that had to play a rematch in the conference championship.
man.
None of it makes any sense. Give me a 12-team
I
playoff.
hate this system so much. Loaded second hour. We started with some NFL things. I want to get to something an old friend of the show said yesterday that caught my eye. Hour 2, Dirt and Sprague, next on The Fan and YouTube.
The Fan.
Brought to you by Stanford's. The classic American Steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannisbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan. Bailey Zappi making Thursday Night Football not as boring as many expected. 3 first-half touchdown passes, and the Patriots get their first win in a month and a half, 21-18 over the Steelers. He finished with 240 yards passing on 19 of 28 completions. The NBA in-season tournament championship all set. The Lakers will take on the Pacers Saturday night right here on the Fan starting at 5 o'clock. Indiana gets past the Milwaukee Bucks thanks to Tyrese Halliburton, who had 27 points, 15 assists, 128-119 the final. LeBron James had 30 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, all before the end of the third quarter, and the Lakers rolled the Pelicans 133-89. Blazers back at home in the Moda Center tonight hosting the Dallas Mavericks. They're still without Jeremy Grant. He's in the NBA concussion protocol. Likely without DeAndre Ayton, even though he's been upgraded to doubtful with knee soreness. They'll tip at 7 on Root Sports Northwest. Mavs 7.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. The Oregon Ducks volleyball team advancing to the Elite Eight for a second consecutive season. They swept Purdue in the Sweet 16. Yet to drop a set in the NCAA tournament. They take on top-seeded Wisconsin Saturday, 5 o'clock on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at SpiritMountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Match the 1080 The Fan on demand. Dirt and Sprague on Football Friday on 1080 The Fan.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2, Dirt and Sprague here, live, local, and happy to be here on a Football Friday. If you missed the first hour of the show, you can always catch it at the Service Patriots podcast section of 1080thefan.com. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. Also, you can reach the show at the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. You can visit them for more information at vancouverford.com. Thank you to everybody tuning in on the YouTube stream. We do appreciate that. I know I keep teasing it, but at this point, it's kind of like a school teacher is what I would compare this to. Like at this point of the year, like right now, are we really teaching? Or are we just kicking the tires for another week? My kid came home and was like, I watched a movie today. And I'm like, oh, I know what time of the year it is.
We got one more week until winter break.
Holiday movie week next week, kids.
Here's an educational film about Rudolph.
No, we do love our teachers, but I keep teasing more YouTube content. I am a big believer in YouTube. I watch YouTube now as a grown adult. And I think our YouTube page has been great. We've appreciated all the views and subscriptions.
It's a good start.
There has to be more content on the page to get people more interested than just doing the radio show. So I would wait for the new year, but I think some stuff could be coming next year.
Absolutely.
We have a lot to get to in the second hour. We have a guest today. I gotta be honest with you. I kind of got lazy on guest booking this week. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I'm going on a little getaway. So I just thought a lot of us today.
That's all we need, man. A little you, little me, little Swag. He's shirtless over there, rubbing his nipples on the YouTube stream. It's a thing to behold, man.
Swag, how much would I have to pay you in cash right now to just do the segment with your shirt off? What's the minimum, like right now, straight cash, homie?
That could have been the Civil War bet this year. We could have gone skins versus shirts for a show. What do you think?
I don't know. You got 10 grand? I'll do it for 10 grand.
10 grand?
It would cost you 10 grand?
I offered you $500 right now to take your shirt off. You're not doing it? Really? Oh,
God, I'd do it for $20.
A man of high standards over there.
It's 12 minutes.
I have some scruples. Not a lot, but some.
I'll let you put tape on your nipples.
Cover
We can just pretend to know what they look like.
Yeah, you got to hide the nipple. You can't let that out.
We're trying to increase viewership here.
That's why I'm offering you take your shirt off.
Exactly.
People want to see the swag.
That's right.
I want to kick off the second hour with some NFL dealings. We have I call him a friend of the show. We've had him on one time. He's described in our Odyssey Rolodex as NFL Odyssey Insider, even though he is specifically only covering one franchise in the National Football League. I'd love to get this title, National College Football Insider for Odyssey.
Yeah.
Brandon Sprague. Well, Brandon, tell me about South Carolina's depth chart. I don't know. Let's talk about Oregon State's, though. Anyways, we had him on, and he's a nice guy, but he knows how to play the game, the content game. And that means the click tweets, the tweets that get the clicks.
That's right, you got to get clicks.
Elliot Shore Parks is who I'm talking about. He's the Eagle reporter for WIP Sports Radio in Philly, our sister station. And he's kind of one of these... I think beat writers nowadays are no longer beat writers. I think they're becoming fans and sycophants for their fan bases and their readers.
Yeah, I think it goes one direction or the other. You're either the guy that pokes the bear a lot,
Okay.
and doesn't jump on board, and that generates interest in content because people are going to react to what you're saying. How dare you say that? Or you're the person that totally jumps on board,
Yeah.
and just basically parrots whatever needs to be parroted.
Yes, and I think you got a lot of evidence that people all across the country that cover teams are kind of reporting as if they're fans of the teams in some ways.
Yes.
Elliot Shore Parks tweeted this yesterday. This is supposed to be a Eagles beat writer, okay? Every single GM in the NFL would take the Eagles roster over the Niners and Cowboys.
That's just not true at all.
Go click the tweet, and you find quickly Eagle fan not appreciating this tweet at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what kind of point you're trying to make there. There are obviously players on Philadelphia that you would definitely take over players on San Francisco or Dallas, and maybe there's a debate to be had there with Dallas, but there is not a GM alive, I think, that would take the Eagles roster over the 49ers roster.
Do you remember the final score from last week's game?
I do, in Philadelphia.
What was it?
What was it, 42 to, I can't even remember, actually.
So you don't?
No, I don't.
42-19.
I knew they killed him. That's what I was going to say.
He tweeted in July, the 49ers have to be the most overrated, quote-unquote, contender the NFL has had going into a season in a very long time.
There's a genuine beef that's brewing there between those two cities or franchises, I should say. And I understand both sides of it, right? Like the 49ers come at it and say, man, you guys won the NFC Championship game last year because we didn't have somebody who could attempt a forward pass. And Philly then feels slighted, and they feel like you're taking credit away from the season and the team that they had. And it's not even necessarily to do that. It's just to point out, like, man, we're playing with two arms tied behind our back, so what do you want from us? And then you rub it in our face that you beat us in the NFC Championship game. Like, of course the 49ers are going to swing back, and it's why I gambled so heavily on the 49ers last week. They're evenly matched teams. I would argue the 49ers had the better roster. They had that game circled for a count. Like, they've been waiting since the NFC title game to rematch in Philadelphia, to have a shot at redemption, to show them this is what could have happened last year had we stayed healthy in that game. And this is where, if you're Philly, like, just acknowledge, like, dude, having their quarterbacks get hurt was a massive break. Everybody catches breaks along the way, whether it's in the regular season, whether it's the postseason, whether it's a guy on your team that stays healthy or a guy on another team that gets hurt. Everybody catches a break, and to acknowledge that doesn't take anything away from the season that you had, but a big part of you winning the NFC title game last year was the 49ers didn't have a quarterback. It doesn't take a genius to point that out.
It is, I don't know how to, I'll try to explain this the best I can. I respect the coach. I root for the quarterback. I like skill position guys. I think the fan base is actually great. I think we need a city that's insane and has expectations that are wild and maybe unrealistic, but like, hey, be accountable.
Their team's 10-1. They were booing the hell out of them late in that first half on Sunday.
But I got to tell you, I kind of find them to maybe be the most annoying pro sports team. They have not won it. I mean, I know they won it against the Patriots in, 18 or 17, whatever that was.
Not a lot of holdovers from that team. Different quarterback, different coach. Obviously, a few defenders that were there. Offensive
Kelsey,
lineman,
yeah, like
Lane Johnson.
That's it. You know, that's still there. But like this iteration of the Eagles, the Nick Sirianni Eagles,
Jalen Hurts Eagles, yeah.
I just kind of find them annoying. It's like the conversation, it's the arrogance, it's the reporter saying, "Oh, this is the greatest," and it's not even close. After they get pummeled by the Niners, or before they get pummeled by the Niners and Cowboys, it's just, I don't know. I've kind of put them into the annoying team category for me, and maybe the most annoying. Their coach beats Kansas City in Kansas City and then talks trash in the tunnel where nobody can hear or see him. I find the whole thing annoying. Shut up. How about you win a Super Bowl? How about you capitalize on this? It's just, it kind of annoys me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I enjoyed a lot watching that game last weekend, just because I felt like they needed to be humbled a little bit. And Philly's still a great team. They got a great shot to win the NFC this year. Nobody doubts that they're one of the best rosters in the NFL. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They were damn close to beating Kansas City last year in the Super Bowl. Like, nobody questions that. There is just a level of arrogance, though, that seems a little too inflated, because this iteration has not won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because you can say it will win a Super Bowl, and people say, well, they just won one in 20, whatever it was, 17 or 18.
I think it was 18.
But this is when you have a different coach and a different quarterback, it's a different team. And I know there are holdovers from that. And there's a longevity argument that San Francisco has. Hell, there's even a longevity argument that Dallas has. They've been a playoff team with this kind of similar core for a long time. And I can't wait to watch that game on Sunday night. They at least got this one right. That's going to be the best game of the weekend, the most anticipated game of the weekend. Buffalo's 6-6 going in. Their coach is talking about terrorists. Like, I don't know how to deal with that. This game is the one that everybody wants to watch. And the Sunday Night Football number is going to be insane in Dallas on Sunday.
I did want to bring that up. We can get into Dallas-Philly a little later. I did want to bring that up. Tyler Dunn of Bleacher Report reported yesterday in the afternoon that Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Bills in 2019, held a team meeting, and he addressed his team. He told, this is from the piece he wrote, he told the entire team they needed to come together. But then sources on hand say he used a strange model. The terrorists on September 11, 2001. He cited the hijackers as a group of people who are all able to get on the same page to orchestrate attacks to perfection. One by one, McDermott started asking specific players in the room questions. What tactics do you guys think you'd use to come together? A young player tried to methodically answer, what do you think their biggest obstacle was? A veteran responded, TSA. McDermott had to do a press conference on this yesterday. He acknowledged that he did bring up September 11th. He also said that he had a family friend die in September 11th attacks, and then later said he had multiple family friends die in this. And then when asked on the terrorist part of this, the hijackers, he refused to comment on specifics. He said he did bring up September 11th, and he has regret. How is he not fired?
I don't know, but I feel like with this being leaked, because I read this yesterday, I did not know that I didn't notice in the details that it was from a couple of years ago. I thought this happened like last week, and everybody's like, oh my God, look at what Sean McDermott said last week. I didn't realize that this was a holdover story from a couple of years ago. To the question of how has he not been fired, I think this was leaked because they want to fire him. Like, they're laying the groundwork.
It's a sneaky good point by you saying that this morning.
This
I'm like, how did that just come out randomly from 2019?
Come on, man. 2019 story, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, this thing gets reported. It wasn't reported at the time. What did the Bills do in 2019? They went to the playoffs for the first time. What did they do in 2020? They went to the AFC Championship game and probably should have beaten Kansas City and gone to the Super Bowl. The next year, they were 11-6 and still made it to the divisional round and lost. Last year, they were 13-3, made it to the divisional round. What's happening this year? They're 6-6. They've been a little bit of a dumpster fire. There's arguments as Josh Allen regressed. Do we need an offensive coach? This guy's supposed to be the defensive expert. They're kind of lucky to be 6-6 at that. They're laying the groundwork to get rid of him. Coaches do all sorts of things to fire up and motivate their team. It was fun to see, to use the Oregon example, getting the, Oregon versus Oregon, whatever, cinematic recaps and see some of the locker room speeches and the arguments that are made to fire up the roster and the little tactics throughout the course of the week to try and get the most out of your team. How anybody with a functioning brain ever thought this was one that was actually going to work in the state of New York, nonetheless, I can't wrap my head around it.
What I think I'm bothered most by, aside from just like using this of all the examples,
all the things of communication. That's I get the communication argument.
Yeah.
Like, you need to communicate better. There's not other examples we could have used.
Well, I follow a comedian, and he basically said, Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman are three very different people who won titles together. You could have just pointed to that. Like, you didn't need to go terrorist hijacking example.
Yes.
What kind of bothered me was, I try to be open and honest on this show and share things that are going on in my personal life, along with this, all the fun sports things we get to talk about. I can't wrap my head around the idea that if he's telling the truth, which I guess I just give him the benefit here, that if you lost a family friend.
Yeah, that this would then be the analogy that you use.
So, like, easily and lightheartedly is just like, hey, guys, let's communicate and have chemistry and execute a plan. Let's use that as an example when they murdered a family friend. A family friend, I don't know about you guys, a family friend to me, I would be dirt.
Yeah.
I would classify him as a family friend. It's somebody that we don't hang out all that much, but we do hang out. We get along with each other. We have no problems with one another. We live very different lives, but like, I consider him pretty close in my life. if you died in that way, I can't foresee myself ever in an example going,
Pointing to the murderers.
old Uncle Dirt died a certain way, but what was impressive about the way he died was how they executed that plan.
I mean, it was a brilliant murder.
It's just I thought that was a weird thing to say in that press conference. He clearly seemed very uncomfortable, and I'm kind of buying to your theory here. It feels like something that was kind of passed to the report of like, oh yeah, he's been crazy for a long time. Check what he said in 2019 out.
And now when you fire him, it's nobody's begrudging the move. Nobody's shedding a tear.
I think Bills fans
long overdue.
The season's not gone well for them. I think Bills fans are kind of ready for this.
Anything short of a Super Bowl and that dude is out of a job, I think we can all agree on that, and I don't expect them to win one this year. How about you just use the communication from the firefighters, the heroic firefighters on 9/11? Why don't you go that route?
Just stay away from 9/11.
Sure, or you could just stay away from 9/11 in general, but there's a different angle there. They communicated, they saved a ton of people's lives. A lot of them perished heroically on that day. Go that route. I don't get it.
Let's stay in sports coming up next, but is this really true? Is this bringing the male species down a bit? That's next on The Fan.
It happens. Woke up on the dark side of my mattress.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Alex tweets us and says, CJ McCollum no show to big game. Who'd have guessed that?
I got a buddy who's anti-Lillard, and he texted right after Milwaukee lost, Lillard still can't win the big game. I just chuckled. So we're still doing this, huh? Still doing this?
You know what's funny is about both those guys, there's the people that after round one, Dame's stats fall off pretty hard in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Whereas like CJ has the game 7 at Denver.
Mhm.
I would argue he also has a lot of massive games that he completely no-showed for.
Like stepping out of bounds when Dame had maybe the greatest postseason performance in the history of the NBA. Remember that game? I remember that game.
Dame was really bad yesterday.
He was horrible in the first half, got it going in the third, and then kind of disappeared again. Also, Halliburton just was awesome.
God, he's good.
Like, that's just also part of it. He was
27-15,
Yeah.
7 and no turnovers.
Milwaukee had some possessions late, too. I have not watched much of their games, but I hear your anecdotes about Milwaukee, and it's funny because then I watch them, and I'm like, yeah, see what he's talking about here.
Yeah.
Like, dude, their possessions late in that game, what are we doing? It's Middleton running down like 1-on-4, throwing up a layup. It's Brook Lopez taking threes. They had like a 4-minute stretch, I felt like, where Dame didn't even touch the ball. Like, what are we doing late in the game?
Yeah, that's what Bobby Portis said in the locker room. Said, hey, maybe we should focus on offensive execution in the game.
Yeah.
So that's not going well. A lot of people chiming into that never allow an asteroid to hit. They're not in on the OnlyFans of the Dirt and Sprague.
Come on, answer the question. Play the game, you prudes.
Swag is winning, though.
He's running away with it.
Yeah, he should be.
I'll do naked golf swings. Is that a thing?
I don't know if I want to see that.
That's probably a good.
That's body's doing kind of things. There's like slow-mo, like it's shaking in weird ways.
jiggling, blah, 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 blah.
I'm offering nothing, apparently, to the listeners, and that's okay.
No, you're too pale, man. You're too skinny and pale. You got to get some sun. You're going to blind us. Come on. Get outside.
It's so unfair what God did to my genetic pool.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Because if you see my dad, you never believe that's my dad.
And he's dark skinned, man.
Dark.
Dark skin.
Dark.
Papa Sprague.
And I'm pale ass. I look like a vampire.
Yeah, you got the short end of the stick. Well, my dad's like 6'2", so I got the short end of the stick too.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Swag, I know you were gone getting your 9th cup of coffee or taking your 15th piss, but update you on the poll.
Super
Just
beta
the
prostate.
second leak. Just the second leak. No, I'm fighting with the damn printer out there.
Sure.
It won't upload crap
That's
fast
what they call
enough.
it now, yeah.
Fighting. You're winning our OnlyFans poll question. People want to see naked
I
swag.
don't know if I should be excited or depressed about that.
I think you
quite
should be
frankly.
excited. I think you're in good shape for your age.
I don't know if that's
got a full head of hair.
pity watching. I don't know if that. I don't
Pity
know.
watching.
It would only be what's happening in your pants for pity watching.
Yeah.
Cat pervert.
You are a cat pervert.
Dude, you know I am. I mean, come on. I'm fairly open and honest about it. I'm gonna hold the gambling bit. I'll leave that for Dirk.
Yeah,
Don't take my Quake take again, damn it.
It's got about.
Don't
Wait,
take
wait,
my.
wait.
That's my Quake take today.
Okay.
Don't steal my Quake take
Wow.
again, okay?
You guys really should talk before the show.
No, it's fun. You kind of fly blind. You're blindfolded. I don't know what he's gonna do. He doesn't know what I'm gonna do. The tough part is I always have a whole like a host of segments on my show sheet, and then as you go through the show, I just like cross it off. Okay, not gonna get to that. Oh nope, that one's off limits. Can't talk about that. 9/11 McDermott. Nope, not getting to that in my portion of the show. Just grasping for segments over here.
Thank you. Another one?
Yep.
All right, well, we'll get to it. I'll hold your Quake take. I know your Quake take
Thank
is. A lot of guys are doing this more and doing something else less, evidently. We've talked about people are concerned about the population decline. Oh, man, this is a bad thing. Less people are being born. Yeah, because people are poor. It's hard to live right now.
It's hard out here.
And there was an analyst on CNBC, and she believes this is
Wait, this
why.
is my Quake take. You're playing my Quake take.
Oh, I thought the other thing was your Quake.
I don't know
take.
what the other thing is.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I'm
I
sorry.
I actually followed dirt on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my Quake take.
I didn't see the Quake take.
Yes.
God, now I'm an idiot. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'll stay away. That's your Quake take.
We'll get to that in 5 minutes. I have a Quake take.
John Rahm said last year, what is $400 million going to change my life? No.
Apparently it is.
Evidently it is. John Rahm to live. You guys are golf guys. I like golf as well. Dirt, you do the Grip City podcast. We have Golf in the Northwest on every Saturday morning here with Swag. Your guys' thoughts. I thought Rory had a really good thing, and I guess people are trashing Rory for what he said. I thought he made a lot of sense, but What is your thoughts, John Rahm, who Mr. 400 million won't change anything, now taking 300 a year from the Saudi Live Golf company?
600 million will, evidently. Adding $200 million to that offer is what is life-changing money.
Is that what I've seen? Everything from 300
I
to
have
600
too. I saw
Yeah.
300, so I don't know what it
My
really
guess is to get John Rahm to leave, you needed to go north of $500 million, and that's just my assumption. It's the Saudis.
Let's play the assumption it's 300. That me and Swag saw 300, and that is correct. What is your?
I'm pissed either
takeaway?
way. I don't look. I can't blame guys for taking money. That's just boilerplate. You say that. Yes, if I get offered $600 million, I'm taking it too. It doesn't mean that it doesn't suck. Like this sucks for the game of golf. All of this does. It felt like we had moved past a point where the defections were done, and it was just all right. Liv's got their guys. Nobody watches. PGA got their guys. The product is a little watered down. This kind of sucks. They come together for 4 tournaments a year, and that's the way golf is going to be. When they announced the merger this summer, or the reported we're going to work on a merger, it felt like, all right, we're bringing the golf game back together. And they have a New Year's Eve deadline to come up with that agreement and what it's going to look like. Part of that initial agreement was that there would be no more poaching of players. No more. The Saudis signed off on that. Liv signed off on that. Now, the Justice Department started poking around, and they had to take that out of the deal because there's some antitrust stuff that goes into that. And they said, you can't have that a part of this agreement unless you want us poking our noses into this. And they said, okay, we'll take it out. The sign that this is happening on December 8th, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks before we're supposed to have an agreement on a merger is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It's not just that Rahm's leaving the PGA Tour. That sucks. I'm a PGA Tour guy. That's the only tour I watch. It's the only golf that I think matters. And so I'm bummed. I love watching John Rahm play, and it sucks that I'm not going to get to see him, outside of 4 tournaments a year. The fact that this is happening 3 weeks before the merger is the big news, because that tells me there might not be a merger. And if there's not a merger, you cannot compete with this. Live Golf is not a normal business. It's not a normal league. This isn't like the XFL starting up against the NFL, because that's a normal business model where you have to turn a profit. This is they don't have to make money. Nobody watches. We get as many podcast downloads in a month as they get viewers on like a Saturday on the CW. That's insane. They have some of the best golfers in the world. We're a stupid little radio show in Portland, and we get as many podcast downloads as they have viewers. They are losing hundreds of millions of dollars year over year over year over year, and it doesn't matter because it's not a normal business. The PGA Tour cannot compete with this, and the Rahm stuff sucks. I love John Rahm. Seeing him in a Letterman's jacket on Fox News, you're like, oh, God.
He really leaned into that,
After all, this isn't the kind of golf I want to play, and money doesn't change anything. You're like, all right, you're just, okay, welcome in line. For me, the concerning thing is about the merger and what it means for the sport.
Swag, I want to hear your thoughts on this quickly, but I want to add one thing. I find this weird when they add this to the big name players. They pull away from the PGA, and he's got owner interest in the team. And I'm like, are these real teams? Like, what's the value?
Apparently, there was a trade executed on one of the teams.
But like, what's the real value? They're just making this up. Like, he's the owner. He got an ownership stake. I'm like, that's not why he signed.
I don't know.
Does he care about that?
No. I don't know.
It's about growing the game, Brandon. He cares about growing the game of golf for 40,000 viewers.
Here's the issue that I have that I'm really concerned about, that all of the jacked up purses that the PGA Tour now is trying to come up with to compete with not losing guys, all of the added benefits, all these creature comforts that are being added for tour players and their families to the tournaments. Now, the PGA Tour doesn't have itself, the tour overall, any new sponsors that I'm aware of. So this all falls back on the tournament sponsors to foot the bill.
Yeah.
And these are operating businesses separate from the PIF. So, as you mentioned, Live Golf is not a normal business operating model.
No.
At some point, these sponsors are going to say, no, I can't. I'm giving you a $8, $10, $12 million check now. I can't give you a $20 million check and justify this anymore.
Where's the return on my investment?
Exactly. And so,
is Rory going to join? There's a lot of scuttlebutt.
I still think eventually they'll figure out how to merge these two things or have them operate simultaneously, where you'll have your traditional 72-hole stroke play individual sort of thing. I think they're going to – I've maintained for a number of years, I think there's too many events on the PGA Tour. I think they need to whittle it down.
But they've done a better job with the elevated events, I think.
That's what they need to go to.
But again, to Swag's point, though, they're having to dip into their own coffers because the sponsors are saying, wait.
Who are we paying for?
We're already putting $10 million in here.
Yeah,
now you want us to put $20 million in? Are you kidding me?
Am I doubling my return on investment? I think there's too much. I don't think there should be events the week after majors.
I don't either.
All the guys want a week off after they've built up and grinded and go and we've elevated those things to that level. And so I think eventually what will happen is there will be a smaller PGA Tour schedule, and they will find a way to have some sort of team or different sort of things so guys can continue to play, but it's not the grind of a 72 hole, and they'll find a way to coexist and make it back. It's going to take a while to iron out and be messy. What we're watching college football go through. Eventually they'll get there. It's just going to take a while, and I think it'll only happen once Jay Monahan's out. Tiger now is running the player advisory board. He's going to step in. He might be the commissioner of the PGA Tour in 10 years.
Well, why would you? 10? Do you want to be a player?
Well, he still wants to.
Some of that, though, is that there's rumors and rumblings behind the scenes that the way they've handled the players being added to the policy board and adding an extra seat, having Jordan Spieth replace Rory McIlroy is, if you want to believe this, because I think it's $600 million, but if you want to believe this, that's a part of the reason why Rahm left, that he felt like he was on the outside looking in. He felt like it was a good old boys club, that it's Tiger and Rory and JT. They're these buddies, and that's who everybody talks about. There were clips of the Ryder Cup press conference when Europe won, and for the first 10 minutes, questions were only asked to Rory McIlroy. Nobody asked John Rahm a question until like 11 minutes in.
So is it a jealousy thing
That's
now?
what some people are speculating. I think it's $600 million, and $600 million speaks for itself, but people are trying to draw other conclusions of how did Rahm go from $400 million is not life-changing, I want to compete against the best, 54-hole tournaments are not tournaments. Like, he crapped all over the entire product, and then a year later he's saying, all right, give me the bag, I'm going to go join. I've reached a point as a golf fan. I have a hard time doing the live stuff. If you want to watch it, go for it. It just doesn't feel like a real tournament, doesn't feel like a lot's on the line. I just reached a point that I want one or the other. Like, I want to watch the best players.
I don't want live. I don't want that as an option.
I want the best players in the world playing against each other on a regular basis more than 4 times a week or 4 times a year. And that's what we have totally lost in the golf game. The PGA product is now watered down. Live, they're in shorts. It's 54 holes and nobody's watching. And so I want the best against the best week in and week out. We had that on the PGA Tour, and I don't know if we're ever going to have it again.
They always say millennials are quiet quitting. And the one thing I hear a lot about Live is, what? Play less golf. Don't play as much golf. It's like,
that's such a lie, though, too, because they have a ton of events. You're playing majors. You have to play DP World. Not all of them do, but you have to play DP World Tour events to get status points. Like, that is a absolute BS lie.
Just lean into the money, then. What's the point of lying, I guess, at that point?
Yeah, at least Rahm said, I'm not going to lie. The money's a part of it. It's like, yeah, thanks, after dropping the growing the game of golf 47 times.
Todd, I really like him.
I do, too. I love John Rahm. $600 million is a lot of money, but it sucks, man. It just sucks.
There we go. A little preview of the Grip City podcast and Golf of the Northwest.
I could do a 3-hour show on that. I could. I was fired up yesterday. I was genuinely sad.
I knew you were fired up on this 2 days ago when you complained about them wearing shorts randomly in a break. I'm like, what? And you're like, I hate shorts on a golf tournament. I'm like, what?
Put some pants on.
Put some pants on. Make it real.
Take it serious, all right?
I love that take by you. All right, we have a lot to get to with a Quake take that I almost ruined, that I didn't ruin. We'll Sprague line at 8:30. Dirt and Sprague back with more, but for Swag with a sports update.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Laurel Horse Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Their butchers are all trained chefs, eager to help with cooking advice. Get to know your friendly neighborhood butcher online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan. Thursday Night Football, not quite the dud many expected. Bailey Zappi throwing life into the Patriots offense. 3 touchdown passes in the first half. They beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh 21-18, ending a 5-game losing streak. NBA in-season tournament championship set for Saturday night. The Lakers and Pacers will do battle for the cup. You'll hear it right here on The Fan starting at 5 o'clock. Indiana getting past the Bucks thanks to Tyrese Halliburton's 27 points and 15 assists, 128-119 the final. No drama in the second semifinal. Lakers housing the Pelicans, 133-89. LeBron James, 30 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, all in 3 quarters. Tonight, the Blazers back on the Moda Center floor, hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Jeremy Grant still out in the NBA concussion protocol. Center DeAndre Ayton doubtful with knee soreness. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports Northwest. Dallas, 7.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. The Oregon State men's soccer team can advance to the NCAA championship game tonight with a win over Notre Dame in the semifinals of the College Cup. 5:45 kickoff on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at SpiritMountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Hyken. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, I'm going to throw a question at you. We'll get to our Quake takes coming up 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long it's going to be.
I saw this one from McMurphy quickly, Dirt.
Yeah.
Texas is going to significantly outnumber Washington fan at that game, and that is just such a travesty that the 2 seed
It sucks, man.
gets rewarded with a game that's like 5 hours from Austin.
This is why in the expanded playoff model, we're going to get home field advantage in the first round. It should happen in the second round, too. Making fans travel across the country to watch their team play is ludicrous. The only game that should be on a neutral site is the national championship.
Imagine if they did it this year. It'd kind of
be
be
in
fun,
Seattle.
right? Alabama in the big house and Texas in
Yes.
Seattle, Mont Lake.
And then you don't have to spend $8,000 trying to get to New Orleans on New Year's Eve. I remember when we were talking about Oregon maybe going to the playoff, that was the fear of like, what if that game is in the, you've got to go to New Orleans for New Year's, the game's on New Year's Day. You know how hard it is to get to New Orleans and how expensive it is to get there.
Super pricey.
Especially that Mardi Gras, like or Bourbon Street,
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. Are you kidding me? Which sport? I asked this to some buddies last night, and I was actually surprised because 2 different beavers said the same answer. Which sport changes do you dislike more? Golf or college football? I know your fandom is obviously majorly impacted by the college football one, but we've seen massive, movement, conference realignment, NIL transfer portal, and the other one, it's basically 2 different leagues now. One that nobody watches, one that people watch, but it's watered down. Which changes are worse to the sport?
I actually don't think this is very difficult. I've been very vocal of what I don't like. I think college football diehards that grow up with fandoms for any school should be this is a universal opinion in my head. They've corporatized and bastardized college football to the point of it being minor NFL, and it's only going to expand to that further because now there's rumors the ACC is going to get destroyed. Yormark and the ACC president might be meeting. Like, this thing isn't lining up well, so maybe there's an outside shot for schools like Wazoo and Oregon State, but I think overall it's not been good. This isn't close, though. Like, the PGA basically being relegated to it doesn't matter. I never would have imagined seeing that in my life. Obviously didn't grow up with a lot of knowledge of what's going on in Saudi Arabia, but to watch single-handedly a league get just destroyed by loss of talent, and I don't think he's going to be the only one. There could be a couple other guys joining this.
Oh, yeah, this isn't the end. There's going to be more.
And, like, imagine if you lose a Morikawa. You lose, I saw a thing yesterday, I don't know how true it was, like a Patrick Cantlay is the voice of the PGA at this point. And I'm like, really?
He's calling the
nobody
shots.
likes him.
He's got a seat on the policy board.
But it's that's kind of my point is nobody likes him. If that's your guy, like, good luck to you. And unfortunately for them, Tiger's on the extreme back nine of the old career until we get Chuck Woods.
He's trying to save it, but it's...
I know, and I think him and Rory, I think, have done a good job carrying and trying to save golf, but this is a lost effort. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, I think it's the PGA, unfortunately. As much as I don't like what college football has become.
Because your fandom has been uniquely impacted by it.
It has, and it hurts. But we're a basketball school now, and so PGA.
Soccer school now.
Well, soccer this weekend, but basketball and baseball after this.
I think college football is trying to create more competitive games more often. It's clunky, it's messy how they're doing it, and yes, some people are getting left off. With golf, we're getting less competition.
Yeah.
And so I would say what golf is going through is far worse, and abandoning football is just we're trying to get more relevant games more often.
This is swag. I think what you're hitting on here, I'm just going to use this kind of comparison. This, to me, is the equivalent of the XFL suddenly being Saudi-backed and taking Mahomes and Allen and Hurts and all of the great quarterbacks, and the NFL has... they still have the Myles Garretts of the world, but like...
And you have Lambeau Field and the history and the pageantry of it.
But all the NFL teams are quarterbacked by Boyle and 80-year-old Joe Flacco. And it's like, but you don't want to watch the XFL? We smash guys into the crowd. It's like an arena league crossover type. I don't want to watch that style. I want to watch the NFL. It would be kind of similar in my mind. That's how I'm viewing this.
It's wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. All right, I want to get to our quick take. I know a lot of our listeners out there, they also have I
have a competition problem.
If you do, you're a part of the problem in society. And one lady will explain. We'll get to our quick take of the day. That's next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
James shifting gears inside. Davis! LeBron with another assist. 8 assists for LeBron James. And the Lakers lead by 30.
Yeah, there's Kevin Harlan, TNT. Lakers rout the Pelicans in the second half, win by 44 in the semis of the IST. A little Cup Check Championship preview. Lakers versus Pacers.
It was a bummer end of the day. The Pacer-Buck game was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of excitement. Zion, LeBron, let's see how this goes, and it just was an absolute bloodbath, and everybody turned it off at halftime.
Who's stinking it up? Zion Williamson, supposed to be the next LeBron, getting out-dueled by 40-year-old LeBron. Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Get your time back. Let the pros tackle whatever projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, well, I'm going to get to a couple of college football nuggets at the top of the hour. We'll take a look at the weekend slate of the NFL in the final hour as well.
Yeah, how many games are making it move for you this weekend?
Dude, you texted that yesterday, and I was looking over it, and there's not a lot. I don't have a lot of movement this weekend. You and I might be on opposite ends of a game. There's one that feels like a trap. Can anybody explain to me why Detroit's only like a 3-point favorite in Chicago?
Well, for most of the week, their weather report was bad. I heard Ken Barkley yesterday. I guess he's been digging into this because the cold weather cities, you need to start eyeing those.
Yes, keep an eye on the weather.
Chicago sounds like they're going to avoid it.
Kind of a clear cold day is what we're looking at?
Kind of, yeah, and it looks like Baltimore is going to be nasty.
Yeah, and Lamar missed practice yesterday, too.
He's sick.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is.
He's got an illness right now. So, yeah, things to bear in mind. You look at the early slate, I'm coming back Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to be willing to sleep in a little bit and not feel rushed to get back to catch the morning slate. The morning slate's not great.
Not great. Sunday Night Football is the game of the day. You get Chiefs and Bills in the afternoon. You just kind of got to be around at 1 o'clock. We love to gamble on this show. And by the way, your fake sponsors for Sprague the Line are welcome. 503-864-6326. We will do that coming up at 8:30.
What's that number?
503-864-6326.
No, what's the name of the number?
The Vancouver Ford text line.
Oh, hey, thanks.
What did I say? Did I say it wrong?
No, you just didn't say it.
I didn't say it? Oh, okay.
Shouting them out.
Okay. Well, we like to gamble, so we're going to do that coming up at 8:30. There's consternation out there in global society about what is sports gambling going to do to young men like you and me. Are we not going to love women anymore? Are we not going to look for work anymore? What are the fallouts from sports gambling? Here is your quick take of the day from a gal who I don't even know who she is. I don't really want to shout her out. This is what she said on CNBC.
The fastest growing leisure spend is fantasy sports and online sports betting. So I looked further into that and looked into DraftKings, and what you see is this massive growth. So sports betting has only been legal outside of Nevada for 5 years. So in 5 years, it's gone from one state being legal to 29 plus the District of Columbia. So it's had meteoric growth. So I know everyone talks about NVIDIA and its performance this year. DraftKings has doubled that performance. And you understand why. You have this massive secular wave behind it. So the negative impacts is that it's all young men. And I parallel that with, or dovetail that with Pew Research, which says that 63% of young men are single. And that's the highest it's ever been. And 50% of those young men have no interest in dating, not even casually. And 30% of those men, or 30% of young men, say they have not had sex in over a year and don't seem to care.
We're not dating anymore. We're not having sex anymore. All because of sports gambling. So what lines do we like this weekend, huh? How about that for a quick take? I think the answer she's looking for is porn, Dan. Porn. That's probably why people aren't eagerly to date and don't feel like they need to have sex because you can have like virtual reality porn now.
Well, it's wild. The algorithms of everything is, I think, manipulating and changing things for society in general. I mean, you get on an Instagram page or you search the internet and it's just like the most random things will pop up and go, I wasn't searching that. Why is this here?
I don't need this in my life.
And, I think you're kind of hitting at something that's correct. I don't believe this is sports gambling's fault. I know I can't speak for you or Swag, but when I lose big bets, I don't want to have no sex. I want to get past it.
When I win big bets, I definitely want to have sex.
Yeah, we're celebrating both ways is what I'm saying. And so I'm going to put a poll question up. Does sports betting make you less horny? Yes or no?
Hitting that teaser.
That's right.
My wife now, when we turn on games, I turned on the start of Thursday Night Football last night. Because
foreplay and sex. What a parlay.
Yeah, how many legs is that teaser, huh? We turn on Thursday Night Football, and she just immediately...
I got a 2-leg teaser.
She now just says, what are we rooting for in this game? And so I turned it on last night, and I said, we're rooting for... I took the Pats to cover, and I got the under in the game. I like the Pats all day, but I'm like, how do I not bet this under? It's an Iowa game. I got to bet the under.
I'm in the fanny.
And then so we're watching the opening drive. The Pats score a touchdown on their opening drive, and she just looks at me like, well, that's not good. I'm like, yeah, thank you, Tips. And she's rubbing it in when I'm losing bets. I know that's not good.
My 11-year-old now understands sports gambling because of me. And last weekend, I had the exact moment. My wife is on the couch. I'm watching Texans and Broncos on the red zone.
Yeah.
They score, and I'm doing the Kramer horse whip. Come on. And she goes, what are you rooting for here? I'm like, points. We need points, as many points as we can get. And I've explained to her what -6 means.
Yeah, the lines, over-unders.
She basically goes to the TV now and goes, what jersey are we rooting for in this one? The white one. We need the white one to cover a number. That's she's starting to understand it. This is the stupidest take.
This is an all-time Quake take.
This is Elliott Shore Park's no roster's better than the Eagles.
It was a lot longer. I edited it down, and then something about because young men are stuck sports gambling and young women are just following Taylor Swift on Instagram.
That's all people are doing.
Then nobody's getting married, and it's going to kill the housing market.
You know what kills the housing market?
Low-paying jobs,
low wages,
high interest rates, and
high interest
costs.
rates. Yes, yes.
Maybe
not sports gambling, not Taylor Swift on Instagram. How about just starting to point to the obvious things here? Corporations, wage growth or lack thereof, interest rates. Actual tangible things instead of going, 30% of this 50% isn't having sex anymore. This is gambling's fault. Unbelievable. I've never been hornier than when I've hit a 5-leg parlay. Are you kidding me?
Less horny. My God, a good hook gets my jimmies rustling.
Oh, I got a hook in the Eagle Cowboy game. I'm excited. I'm feeling it in my pants.
You get a good hook right there?
Down in my gloves.
Full body boner for 2 weeks.
It just feels good, man. It feels good.
I mean, yeah, you never get past that high. It's unbelievable. What a dumb comment.
all gravy, baby.
That sounds like somebody that's not getting laid.
Ass defense. Or gambling. She should probably start a DraftKings account and see if she can make a little bit of money. She'd enjoy the ride. Come on.
I also I'm also an adult man, and I've thought if I was ever in a position of being on the market, I was married. I'm not doing that again. I'm gonna gamble a lot and enjoy my life. Leave me alone.
You're gonna be old gray chest hair guy with like a pinky ring.
Have sex with myself. Leave me alone. Let me do what I want to do.
That's right. Let me live my life. Okay, get out of my life. Well, there's your Quake take for the day.
CNBC content. Unbelievable.
The problem with this country is too many young men are gambling on sports. We're looking at you, all of our listeners. Quit gambling on sports. Go have sex with women and buy houses, okay? It's that easy.
Would have been better if she blurred out her face. Is somebody like saying something controversial, doesn't want to know who she is?
All right, we got a lot to get to in the final hour. Speaking of gambling, maybe we'll all have sex this weekend and win some bets. We'll see. 8:30, Sprague the line. Get your fake sponsors into the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. We'll let you know who we're gambling on and let you know who we did last week. We'll read your fake sponsors. I want to get you set for the NFL slate. Morning slate, not great. Afternoon slate, better. We'll talk about that coming up at 8:15. Let's get to some odds and ends, though, in college football, including one really good sign potentially for a local school. Loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
to you by the Odyssey app.
A perfect deep strike to DK.
KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland. An Odyssey station. Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by X Golf. It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com. First on The Fan. Well, Bailey Zappi made Thursday Night Football more entertaining than most expected. 3 first-half touchdown passes in Pittsburgh, helping the Patriots end a 5-game losing streak, 21-18 over the Steelers. Zappi finished 19 of 28, 240 yards for 3 scores and 1 pick. The NBA in-season tournament championship will be decided by the Lakers and Pacers Saturday night. You'll hear it right here on The Fan starting at 5 o'clock. Indiana behind 27 points and 15 assists from Tyrese Halliburton. Held off the Bucks 128-119. LeBron James, 30 points, 8 boards, 5 assists in 3 quarters, guiding the Lakers past the Pelicans 133-89. Blazers and Mavericks at Moda Center tonight. Jeremy Grant still out in the NBA concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton is doubtful due to knee soreness. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports Northwest. Mavs 7.5-point favorite at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. The Oregon Ducks volleyball team advancing to the Elite Eight for a second consecutive season. They swept Purdue in the Sweet 16. They have not dropped a set so far in the NCAA tournament, facing the top-seeded Wisconsin Badgers Saturday in the Madison Regional, 5 o'clock on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
If you can't find the humor in today's NBA,
You got a problem.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, let's do this. Final hour, Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app. Doesn't feel quite the same on a football Friday with no big college football this weekend.
It's a very odd feeling because I love the NFL, but we've officially reached college football is over.
It's over.
I know there's a bowl game for
the
teams.
Army-Navy game.
Yeah, I got Army-Navy tomorrow.
And then you get bowl games next the following weekend.
Did you see the Sun Bowl is the most expensive ticket of all the bowl games right now?
Really?
Yeah, the demand is through the roof, I guess.
Why?
I'm confused by it as much as you are, but Brett McMurphy sent out the top bowl listing for prices, and Sun Bowl was number 1.
Wow.
I mean, I know Notre Dame fans are crazy. Who wants to go to El Paso?
I don't mean this disrespect. I don't think there's going to be a very large Beaver contingent going to this thing.
I would imagine
Let me see if I can
not.
find the
so.
tweet here.
Just
Give me just a second.
Again, El Paso.
Biggest, here it is. Since bowls set, since they got the matchups in all these
Right.
bowl games, he says the biggest increase in ticket demand via at Ticket City, Sun, 141% ticket demand.
Wow.
Rose, 72%. Cotton, Mizzou, and Ohio State, 71%. Sugar with UW and Texas. And then Gator, Texas Bowl, Orange Bowl, Peach Bowl. I'm trying to see. LA Bowl. Oregon and Liberty's not on this.
Of course they're not. Why does anybody want to go to that game other than going to Phoenix?
LA is in this. Boise and UCLA.
Yeah.
Why would anybody go to that game?
It's not Liberty Bibberty, at least.
That's true.
That's everybody at Boise.
I'd rather play Boise State than Liberty.
Going to L.A.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a point. Good point.
Yeah, I mean, the only point of going to the Fiesta Bowl is getting some sunshine. That's about it. But I'd imagine the ticket prices have dropped significantly. You could probably get into the door of the Fiesta Bowl for a very, very cheap amount, I would imagine.
I quickly had a thought, I know we would get shut down here locally and probably by corporate, but what's the cheapest price to purchase a bowl name? And would it be smart to just buy a 1080 The Fan bowl for one
Dirt
season?
and Sprague Bowl?
The Dirt and Sprague Bowl would be cool.
No, call 1080 The Fan, send us as a station, and just like be the AM station in America that randomly purchased the rights to a bowl game, everybody would talk about that.
Yeah, our budgets, everything's going great, so I'd imagine that's something we're going to do. It's right around the corner for us. I think the game, if we were going to buy a game, happened this year, but we didn't even notice that it happened, and we should have known that it happened. Cleveland and Park Rose played in high school football this year.
Our boss has been chapping our ass about that game.
Yes.
If they ever play, we're going to make you do the game.
They
and we're
played.
like, they don't play.
Nobody told us.
Not a soul.
We could have been, that should have been the Dirt and Sprague Bowl. We should have been there broadcasting live. We could have done the play-by-play.
If we
put the game on YouTube, carry a GoPro around on the sideline.
The cheapest bowl game I'm seeing is $375,000.
Yeah,
that's it. I thought it would have been a
30 or
minimum $1
40.
million check.
Oh, really?
See, I would have guessed about $300,000.
Oh, man, that's way more than I thought in my head.
I mean, it's bowl games are. I mean, maybe it's going to go down in years to come because bowl games don't really matter to people anymore.
But still, it's a nationally televised event.
Yeah.
What would our thing be? Like Duke's Mayo's cornered the market on doing something in the post game with the Mayo. What would our thing be?
Swag on the sideline, shirtless grilling.
Actually, be really funny if we had shoddy reception for the actual game.
The feed cutting in and out
We
occasionally.
do it
McGinley's running back and
1970
forth.
style, standard definition.
That's right.
Rabbit ears.
You don't get no 4K around here.
If you want to hear the
This is
game,
AM radio, baby.
if you want to hear the play-by-play for the actual game, you got to go to an AM radio station.
We hand out little transistor radios to everybody.
Yes. Now we're talking. I want to get to a couple college football notes. There has been a theory floated out there, and I wanted to throw it at you guys. Again, we don't need to debate the merits of why or why not they were or were not there. There's a lot of Florida State fans that are ruffling feathers, if you will, and saying they don't want their team to play in the Orange Bowl. That the playoff told them, we're not good enough. We're not good enough for you. So you sent us to a consolation bowl. well, double birds. We're not playing in your stupid bowl game. If you were a Florida State fan, obviously you would be very angry right now. Would you put merit into that? Would you want your team to do that, or is this a dumb idea? Because I heard somebody brought up the argument of bowl season is becoming less and less important every year.
Yes.
We all agree with that. The playoff expanding, it's going to get even less important as the playoff expands. Hardly anybody plays in these games. Guys are in the transfer portal, and we just kind of need something that's going to push it off the edge of the cliff of like, nobody cares. And a Florida State saying, you know what, Orange Bowl, screw you, we're not playing, might be the thing that accomplishes that.
I thought they did him a solid by giving him a chance to play Georgia.
I disagree. I've heard this. Somebody said this to me because I went on a rant last week.
I
about
was worried
playoff.
they were going to get stuck with Liberty or something.
See, but here's my pushback. Somebody was like, well, you know what? They'll get a chance to prove who they are when they play Georgia. And I my only thought is, no, they won't. How many players on both these teams are not going to play in this non-playoff game?
Yeah, Florida State just had one of their best edge rushers enter the transfer portal.
Georgia had a defensive back
I
enter.
understand
Like,
that,
you don't get the full scale of the teams here.
Well, one, are you going to, forego all that extra money? I assume if you wouldn't go, they
You would
wouldn't
not
pay
get
you
the
a
money.
check for you and your conference. So
Well, this is why they are going to play
that's
the
not
game.
happening.
Yeah, that they're not going to skip the check.
But no, don't.
I would love for
They
them to
need
do
to
it.
quit thumbing their nose at the entire system, or they're gonna get left out.
They already did. That's their point.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ACC. Okay, you go do your own thing. I don't know that they're a big enough draw nationally that they think they are.
Really? Florida State?
Yeah.
I put them, I know they've had some down years, but like for my lifetime, I'd have to put them in the blue blood category.
I think if they were to find a way to wiggle free from the ACC contract, the SEC doesn't have any interest in them, and I don't believe the SEC
They're
doesn't
already all
need
over
anything.
the Florida market. They don't need them.
But you know who would take them in a heartbeat? The Big Ten. The Big Ten would take them
B1G.
in a heartbeat. Yeah. If the Big Ten could go coast to coast, and now you get matchups of, you would want Clemson as well, and maybe a Miami in there. But
I don't know about Miami, man. Miami's in a weird spot. They're not a big institution. They're private.
That's fair. Traditional brand, though, and it's a known commodity in college football. And you could have Miami play Ohio State in a conference game. Like, the Big Ten would jump at that opportunity to add them.
I would like it from a I like the idea of it because I tend to agree with their stance. They got absolutely railroaded.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have done that to any other team in another conference, and you told us the ACC doesn't matter anymore. That's why the conference might be dying, but there's no chance they're actually going to boycott it. Nor, by the way, let me just get ahead of this now because we'll be gone at the end of the month. I don't care if they lose by 80.
I think they're going to probably lose by 80.
Probably.
Yeah.
Georgia is, you talk about snubs. I mean, Georgia hasn't lost a game in almost 3 years. They lose one game at the worst time, and it wasn't even a conversation for them. They got ranked behind Florida State.
They're one of the 4 best teams in the country.
There's no refuting that. But I'm also not going to put stock into the argument of who should have made the playoff based on the results of that game.
No.
Because the portal exists and because this is such a stupid system now.
Yes.
I'm one of these people. I know people like to have destinations. We just highlighted the LA Bowl. Like Boise State fan wants to fly to Los Angeles for a few days. Don't blame me at all. It's freezing cold in Boise. Nobody cares about these games.
Yep.
Maybe people will more with sports gambling becoming readily available state by state. But there's nothing that's really on the line. And a lot of these teams have to deal with mass exits of portal. Oregon State might get their brains beat in by Notre Dame, but also you flip it the other way. Notre Dame's had a lot of guys opt out, including their quarterback.
They have.
This is going to be whose third and second string players are better.
Right.
That's how this is going to boil down to in that bowl game, for example. So, and I still don't know if Oregon really is going to have all these guys play. I hope that they do, but if they don't, I'm also not going to be shocked by it.
And maybe it's just a half, or you want to get a couple of series in or something just for one last time.
It's just an odd, I don't know, man. The bowl season's weird. I think you nailed it earlier this weekend. And the weekend you texted in the group. It's the second biggest sport in America, and they have the worst postseason format.
Bowl games used to matter. The invention of the playoff made them matter less. The branding and marketing has all been about who's in the playoff, who's not in the playoff.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that matters in the sport now. You get players who don't care about big-time bowl games anymore.
There used to only be like 16, 17 bowls.
There's too many.
And they were all consolidated in about the span of 4 or 5 days.
Well,
right
you
around
used to
New
didn't have a
Year's.
national championship, right? So you I joke about Washington. Like when Washington won the national title, they won a marquee bowl game. Obviously, they didn't play the number 2 team, so there was interest in the game of like, is this team going to be better? Is this team going to be better? Who's going to win the national championship? There wasn't a national championship game.
Well, and they were all kind of evenly dispersed among the different networks.
They really were.
You had to get like 3 TVs going in your family room and figure out what was going on.
It's a sad casualty, but this is, I mean, the expanded playoff is going to kill it even more.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, toot our own horn here. Where Colin was right. We talked about this 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago. Whenever Jalen Hurts and Oklahoma made the playoff that year, and Utah almost got in, but Oregon beat them. I remember us doing a segment. Would you rather go to the Rose Bowl? I think that was the Oregon-Wisconsin Rose Bowl.
Oregon-Wisconsin, yeah.
Or go to the playoff, given what we saw LSU do to Oklahoma. And I'm like, dude, you take the playoff. And people thought that was so stupid. And if you're a traditional Duck fan, you're a little older than us, the Rose Bowl will always mean something. And I fully acknowledge that. Nobody remembers or cares nationally. They just don't. Oregon's going to win the Fiesta Bowl. They're double-digit favorites. That's actually a dangerous spot for them right now.
Yes, they were just double-digit favorites last Friday.
But they're favorites, and most of us think they'll beat Liberty. If they do, that's, Landing has, we were 12-2.
12-2.
And we won the Fiesta Bowl.
Yep.
Like, that matters, but it doesn't. And that's the weird place that college football's put itself in with the 4-team playoff. You'd rather go to the playoff and lose than win some of these bowl games that are non-playoff games. It's a very weird position to be in.
I see both arguments of this. The payout you would not get, I would imagine, if you don't play in the bowl game. It would be really cool, I think, to see Florida State do something. I don't think they're going to, but like imagine turning that game on and nobody says anything. The team's like there, and then they're just like, nope, we're gonna stay in the hotel. And you like you're like, wait, what? Yeah. Imagine how shocked. What would I think the game is an ESPN game because they have all the New Year's 6 games. Like they would not know what to do.
You're bringing me back to my thought when Oregon State, Washington State played the first conference game of the year, and I said, what if I'd seen this on Twitter, and it clicked for me. Like, what would Fox have done if both of those teams come out for the old coin toss? They go out to line up for the kickoff, and then instead they both bring their whole team out to the field and take a knee. What does the put us in a conference and we'll play.
Yeah. Invite us to the
Otherwise,
Big 12.
piss off.
Yeah.
Get the cameras out of here, cut to your daytime programming, whatever it is. It sounds so ludicrous and stupid. At the same time, what does the network do if they do that?
They'd panic, man. They'd absolutely panic. They wouldn't know what to do.
Okay, Big 12, here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go, please.
Somebody's saying, I think they should go all in and beat Georgia, claim a national championship. They will. They're going to claim, if they win that game, they should, and they will claim a national championship.
And I won't fault them a lick at all.
Central Florida could do it a couple years ago. Hell, Florida State can do it now, man.
Florida State fan made fun of Central Florida for doing that,
They
by
did.
the way.
They did. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting theory. A couple of the quick notes, by the way, on college football. I wanted to point out there's a rumbling out there that Jordan Birch might be returning for another year in Eugene.
Lanning posting it on the old Instagram.
Yeah, Birch posted a picture of him in like some Duck stuff, and everybody's like, what does this mean? So there's growing speculation that Jordan Birch, who many just assumed and believed that he was off for the NFL, similar to Brandon Dorlus last year, thought, he's probably gone, that he might be returning. So that would be massive because retaining your own guys is just as big as bringing in new guys. And
Plus
Birch,
veteran leadership for you guys.
Exactly, and he knows the system. You don't have to teach him. There's also, we know that Dylan Gabriel's going to be in town this weekend, and I still am assuming that's going to happen sooner rather than later. So keep an eye out on that announcement potentially. It also has been reported today that Walter Nolan is going to be in Eugene this weekend. He is the number 1 player in the transfer portal. He's a defensive lineman from Texas A&M.
Probably there right now. What up, Walter?
What's up, Walter? Maybe he's listening to the show. Landed in Portland, driving down, and he's a game changer. He's the best player. He was the number 1 recruit in the country. That dude is an absolute stud. He has been a stud for 2 years at A&M. Also, Andrew Makuba, who's the number 1 safety in the transfer portal. He is a Clemson kid. He is also visiting Oregon. I don't know if that's been said this weekend or quote unquote soon, but a couple of big time visits coming for the Ducks.
My natural position's fairly obvious. I've loved the last decade doing the show with you because you have gone from nobody cares about recruiting to saying high school kid names I've never heard and telling me all of the players in the portal on a daily basis during commercials.
I'm glued, man. I'm glued to this
You're
stuff.
addicted to it.
I'm addicted.
The portal we need to get to this next week. There's a conversation about the portal. There is no denying how exciting and nerve-wracking the portal has made sports fans, though.
Way more than high school recruiting, because high school recruiting, it's
I don't
that's
care
a big
about that
deal,
anymore.
but I have no clue if this guy's going to be good.
Exactly.
Walter Nolan's maybe the best defensive lineman in the country. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's not just hey, a 5-star guy. Maybe in 2 years he's something. That's the number 1 D lineman in the country.
Yeah.
I want to get to a couple of NFL notes. Also, players turning against an organization in a great conspiracy theory. That's coming up next on The Fam.
A gut punch in Corvallis.
These decisions are not easy. I want to chase championships at the highest level, but at the same time create an atmosphere for my family to be special.
Can the Beavers get up off the deck?
I don't care what the AD says with another meaningless statement. We're going to defend the program at a Power 5 level. Make no mistake about it. This is one of the darkest days in Power 5 football.
Talk about it and get the inside story from Portland's sports leader, 1080. The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
Papa Murphy's changed the way you pizza. Southbound I-5 looking good over the interstate bridge, but stop and go approaching Columbia. There's a crash there moving out of lanes. That's traffic. I'm Michael Green.
Do you have a stubborn drain that's running slow? It's time to prepare your drains for the holiday season, and Three Mountains Plumbing has a deal right now you're going to want to take advantage of if you got a slow drain. They're offering a BOGO drain cleaning. When you buy a single drain line cleaning, you get a second drain line cleaning for free. You can clean the sink drain and the shower drain for the price of one. Call Three Mountains Plumbing today at 503-714-6460 for details or schedule online at threemountainsplumbing.com. Restrictions apply.
X Golf is the home of indoor golf. There's X Golf Tualatin, X Golf Vancouver, and coming soon, X Golf Beaverton, the world's most advanced golf simulators in a great sports bar atmosphere. Host your event or party at X Golf. Rent one bay, a few bays, or rent the whole place. It's a fun and unique way to entertain clients and friends. Download the X Golf app. It'll keep your stats and handicap, and you can even make a tee time straight from the app. Log on to xgolfpnw.com for all the details.
Do you have a game plan for COVID-19? Prescription oral treatments must be taken within the first 5 days of symptoms, even if mild. If you have a high risk factor, ask your doctor if treatment is right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Do you have a game plan for COVID-19? Prescription oral treatments must be taken within the first 5 days of symptoms, even if mild. If you have a high risk factor, ask your doctor if treatment is right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic
crying at the wake. And
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, I'm going to take a look at the football slate here in a moment. A couple of baseball notes. Things are not going good in Seattle. Their players, Mariner players, are now liking tweets about the mismanagement of the team.
Yikes.
J.P. Crawford, George Kirby, Dylan Moore, just to name a few, are liking tweets that say the fact that the Mariners put 3 different players with drastically different stories and contributions in one appreciation post just made me shake my head again today. It's a small, inexpensive thing. Talking about, there was a picture of Kelenic and, thanking these guys for their efforts. Another one that Kirby liked this one, saying, the one thing I love about this offseason is that the Mariner fans as a collective are finally, as a unit, outraged at the obvious self-imposed restraints by ownership. The tweet went on, but that's never a good sign. When you have players that are liking tweets about the mismanagement of your ownership and GM, brace yourself, buddy. You're going to have a rough offseason, man, and I don't blame them for feeling that way.
Well, it's a position where it's fairly obvious that right now the organization's choosing to be the cheap organization, and what hurts the most is if any of this intel on Twitter is correct. Somebody did digging and found like one of the most upscale sushi restaurants in the city of Toronto has a reservation booked for 50 people tonight. And John Morosi, MLB reporter, tweeted nationally that a lot of Ohtani decision-making could come out today. That he could make it. It could happen as soon as we sign off this morning.
Oh, it's definitely going to happen at 9:03. So just stay tuned. I know that, and then we will have to wait till Monday to talk about it.
And if some of that reporting is true, it's like, oh, cool, we get to watch the Blue Jays get the best player from our own division.
You imagine
Awesome.
the AL East, man? If he goes to Toronto, the Yankees are loaded basically year in and year out. The O's have finally arrived with all their young talent.
Yep.
Boston's going to spend a ton of money.
The Rays know how to make it work.
The Rays make it work.
They may not win it, but they know how to make it work.
Year in and year out, and Toronto's got all the junior MLB players, and now you add potentially Shohei to it. That is the conspiracy theory, that his translator has booked this big hotel. People have then tried to connect it and saying, well, it's his wife's birthday. Wait for ruining it. And then people went and found his wife and found out when his wife's birthday is. His wife's birthday is in June, so it's not his wife's birthday.
I actually think that tweet was a troll job.
Oh, was it?
Like,
Okay.
hey, thanks for ruining the surprise.
I love it, dude. That's the levels we're stooping to.
The Blue Jays getting Ohtani would be kind of cool. Like, as a Braves fan,
I'm cool with it.
I am too, and I love that logo. It's a sick-ass logo, that bird on the old leaf. Like, I love the Blue Jays.
Pretty passionate fan base. When the Rogers Center gets rocking, like that place can get bumping.
The Batista pimpin' home run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a legendary moment in a playoff game, just like how loud and awesome that environment was. I can't fault him at all for choosing Toronto if he does.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. It's a big market, obviously.
Tax rate's insane, though. That's like 49.
Is it in Toronto?
It's insane.
Whoa.
Like, I saw a thing on it. Toronto's tax rate is nuts.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. Canada's a little different system.
Higher taxes, yeah.
So it's might even be over 50% at that level.
53 federal and provincial is 53.50. Yeah, 53.5%.
Wow. A lot of taxes. A lot of taxes.
A lot of money.
So we'll see. There's an expected announcement at some point today, and we'll see where he goes. Hopefully not LA. Just don't be a Dodger. That's all I got to say. Don't be a Dodger.
It's not impossible.
Stay home.
Nobody wants you to be a Dodger.
He's not from LA.
He's not.
Well, it's been his
Stay
home.
From Japan.
You can live in Orange County.
Did you see Mad Dog step in it the other day? He said he alluded to the secrecy of Shohei's free agency as, what is this, the atomic bomb? And everybody said, using that analogy with a Japanese player, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think he was meaning to do that, obviously, but people then connected the dots of,
He's the same radio host that admits openly he waits to watch SportsCenter to get his scores.
Okay, we got to get your scores.
He doesn't
man.
use his phone.
No, you got to get your scores in there. I am genuinely fired up. I don't know about you, bros. Swigart, I know it's a controversial thing for you because it's a jilted lover scenario. I am genuinely fired up for Sunday Night Football again this week. Like this is massive, dude. Dallas.
Oh, we'll get a great game.
They need one of these. I don't think they have a win against a team that's currently in the playoffs.
No, they get to these games and then they punk out.
They had the chance against the 49ers earlier this year. They were dominated. They had the chance in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. They probably should have won that game, but they couldn't make a play or two here. Dak, goes out of bounds at the one, or you had the fumble or the 2-point conversion that didn't quite cross the goal line or whatever that was. So they came close. Now they get them at home. They're undefeated at home. I don't know. You got Bills and Chiefs will be a good game at 125. Niners and Seahawks, whatever. It's always a rivalry. I expect the Niners to dominate them. There's not a great slate in the NFL this weekend. I can't wait for Sunday Night Football.
Well, it has to be the game, although I do think we're still overlooking Bills Chiefs. McDermott's got to deal with this post 9/11 story that came
desperate.
out.
I mean,
and this is it. They lose this game, they have 7 losses. It's not impossible to make the playoffs as the last wild card.
There's too many teams right there at 7-5, 6-6,
jumbled together. Don't overlook the Chiefs losing that game. They'd be 8-5 if they lose.
That's
that
what I'm
game.
saying. The
Yeah.
Chiefs also have been on a little mini losing streak here. They're not looking as good. People are saying that Kelsey doesn't have. That he's lost a little bit of a step.
He's too into Taylor Swift? Or
No.
road?
It's not a Taylor Swift take. It's just
the same
is
player.
Her concert too? Is
He's
she
banged
still
up.
overseas?
She was
at the game last
somewhere.
week. I thought she was at Lambeau, wasn't she?
Yeah, somebody caught her after a bad play happened saying, I'm going to kill myself. And like that was a controversial thing that she had got caught saying at a sports game, which every sports fan, I think, has echoed some kind of sentiment like that. It's just a massive game for both those teams. And these games traditionally are pretty good. So like Eagles-Cowboys is the bigger one because of the standings. I think Bills-Chiefs could be maybe the best game of the weekend. It's only a 1.5-point spread. I don't kind of understand that, but the Chiefs, again, have been struggling offensively. I'm looking forward to Eagles-Cowboys. Goddard's supposed to be back for them this week. That's a massive upgrade.
They picked up Shaq Leonard.
I don't know how much he'll play in the first game, but like also they got embarrassed at home last week, and now the thinking is kind of logically, now you go to Dallas on the road, where Dallas statistically is an incredibly better team at home on their turf than they are playing in real grass in different environments.
I will be curious to see how much green infiltrates
Dallas.
AT&T Stadium.
I mean, there'll be a chunk of it. There always is.
There always is in that place because the ticket prices are crazy and people can just sell them on the secondary market and make a killing and go, I'm going to watch my team at home.
Right. You get that when the Niners are in town. You get that when the Packers are in town. When there's a national brand in town like the Eagles, there's going to be some opposing fans.
There is going to be a game that does randomly become really good. Like if you tell me Broncos-Chargers is down to the wire.
I know which one it is, but I'll save it
for Sprague in the line. All right. Well, let's
Wait,
get
what
to
do you
that.
mean? What do you mean?
Maybe he's going to gamble the over. Are we officially locking in your bet from earlier this week? By the way, I wrote it down. I just want to confirm.
Find out in a minute.
Oh, okay.
The line hasn't changed. That's why I wanted to put in the text.
Has not moved, yeah.
I mean, we've been doing that thing.
Yes.
I didn't lock it into admittedly yet, but line hasn't changed. So we'll just keep it as it is.
Well, get your fake sponsors in. The Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Let's do some gambling. It was a rough weekend last week, boys. All three of us went 1-2. We need to bounce back. Who are we gambling on? We'll read your fake sponsors. That is next. First Year Swag with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, Thursday Night Football had one of the lowest point totals in the season, and they crushed the over. Bailey Zappi, 3 first-half touchdown passes, leading the Patriots past the Steelers 21-18. He was 19 of 20, 240 yards. Did have a pick to go with those 3 scores. The NBA in-season tournament championship is a showdown between the Lakers and the Pacers Saturday night. You'll hear it right here on the Fan starting at 5 o'clock. Indiana got past the Milwaukee Bucks thanks to Tyrese Halliburton's 27 points and 15 assists, 128-119 the final. The Lakers were no match for the Pelicans, 133-89. LeBron had 30 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists in just 3 quarters. Tonight, the Blazers return home for the Moda Center floor, hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Jeremy Grant still out in the NBA's concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton doubtful with knee soreness. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports Northwest. The Mavs 7.5-point favorites at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sportsbook. Across the Rose Quarter, the Winterhawks in action. They'll host the Spokane Chiefs. 7 o'clock face-off. Tickets available at winterhawks.com while they last. And the Oregon State men's soccer team is in the national championship semifinals, taking on Notre Dame tonight in the College Cup. 5:45 kickoff on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigart from the Spear Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spear Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
This is your home for year-round and
Let's see what we got here. We'll just do a couple of quick ones. Spring and Lime brought to you by. Make sure I can actually read that.
I gotta edit some of these.
I gotta some of the ones that came in today because of conversations earlier today. I just had to make sure real quick there.
So naughty.
Spring and Lime brought to you by DraftKings, proud new business partner of Viagra for when you just want to lay the big wood, but instead you're taking a Sprague pick, so you're just hoping not to push rope.
Today I'm laying the big wood.
I've never heard that saying before. Push rope, huh? That's pretty good. I like that. Spring and Lime brought to you by the OnlyFans Bowl, guaranteed to be more fun than a Sprague pick.
We have Cam Soda, the online porn website, keeps offering to buy a bowl, and the bowl committees won't let him buy it.
And won't let him do it?
They're like trying to buy the rights to a bowl game.
Yeah, let him do it, man.
Cam Soda?
Yeah. When is OnlyFans going to sponsor like an NBA jersey? Because you get those now. OnlyFans. Spring and Lime brought to you by
Team James Harden is on.
Yeah, there you go. Brought to you by last night's Thursday night football game. It was bad, but not as bad as Sprague's picks.
Yeah, the overhead.
And Spring and Lime brought to you by the Army-Navy game, the only game where Sprague can't make a bad pick. Amen to that. Root for both sides. All right, here's how we did last week. Rough week, boys.
Rough.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2. I hit on the 49ers against the Eagles. Lost on the Bucks and the Browns. Well, I took the Browns. I don't know, but
I didn't remember you taking the Browns. I had to check the Twitter account, and I'm like, you took the Browns?
It was kind of a fever dream. My anxiety going into that game last Friday was riding high, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Sprague, you hit on the Lions against the Saints.
Oh, they damn near blew that one.
They tried to. Missed on the Broncos and Texans over, and the Jets. One would made it home, though, and that was the Dolphins minus 9.5 against the Commanders. Cowboys didn't cover against the Seahawks, and the Jags lost outright to the Bengals.
Dirt, I lost a game 13-8. Like, it was a 13-8 game, and I just took the points, and I lost.
Yeah. No, the Jags had it right there when they got that interception, and it was all right there for him. And then
Beat Hard couldn't do it, man.
He could. Well,
I think Lawrence was still in it.
Lawrence was still in the game.
Yeah.
Beat Hard didn't come into the fourth quarter.
So here's how, after our 1-2 weekends, I am now 26-13 after the 1-2 weekend. Sprague, you were 18-20-1. So looking for that 500 mark, and Swag, you are 16-23. So those are our season standings. I believe the carryover is still Brandon Sprague. I think from 2 weeks ago.
I was 3-0.
Still have the honor.
I think so. I'll give you the T-box. Go ahead. The honors are yours.
Pretty simple. I think we might have some competition, a competition problem in this segment. And I'll tell you right now. You know your wife's pregnant, not always feeling the most comfortable. I've seen that.
Yeah. But I have a competition problem.
I think we've got a horny battle coming this weekend.
Who's going to be hornier?
Who's going to get laid?
We're going to ruin some housing markets here.
And I think Dirt is actually coincidentally taking the side that's going to give him the blue balls, the Cowboy blue balls. I'm taking the Eagles with a hook. I like the Eagles getting the hook here. All of the intel reads Dallas, Dallas, Dallas. If you're going to give me a great team with a hook on the road that's beaten this team before and knows what it takes and just played an awful game, I'll take the points. I'll take Eagles plus 3.5.
Your head coach isn't recovering from appendicitis.
Well, and that's another underrated part. And Dallas Goedert, Shaq Leonard add to this. I'm going to take Philly with the 3.5 point.
I'll go ahead and get my first pick in because I'm going the other side of that game. I'm going the blue balls argument, though, for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have blue balls of not winning a big game. They are at home. They're better at home than they are on the road. Those balls are ready to explode. They need one of these wins. All of their eggs are in this basket. The Eagles just they're building up.
Probably has felt like 35 years.
Woo! Might make your head blow off.
That's me after I win a bet. So shout out CNBC for the bad take.
I think the Cowboys' heads are going to blow off, and I think the Eagles are just having. This is a brutal stretch of schedule, man. They've had to play short rest. Cowboys, remember, extended rest. They played last Thursday. They get a couple extra days off.
Back-to-back Thursday games.
Back-to-back Thursday. So they're fresh. They're ready to go. I'm on Cowboys minus 3.
My first game, you talked about which game that you would normally pass over has the potential to be the crazy, goofy, wild finish. Well, these two teams both played in one last week. Now they're playing each other. Backup quarterbacks at it. Minshew magic.
Yes.
Jake Browning. Where did that come from? He's got his whole host of wide receivers. More importantly, the Bengals figured out how to run the football. Neither team has been all that great stopping the run. The Bengals have a little better pass rush if they can keep Minshew in third down situations. I like the over of 44. Over 44 in this game.
All right. Sprague, second pick.
Yeah, by the way, weather for that, just supposed to be cloudy and a
Benign,
little cold.
42 degrees, not much wind, no precipitation.
It rains the day before, but it doesn't sound like it's going to rain in Cincinnati.
Shouldn't be crazy weather.
Okay, my second game, I'm taking a dog, and I'm taking a team that had a huge letdown for me a week ago. I still maintain I had the right bet. It just didn't cash. I'm sorry. I'm going to ride the train. Chargers won. That means Chargers are destined to lose. Bronco country. Let's ride. +2.5 in LA. More Bronco fans anyway.
Mr. Unlimited.
I'm not trusting that Charger defense because Zappy struggled. Give me the Broncos +2.5, please.
Did you not see Zappy torch the Steelers last night? Brandon Staley's a defensive genius all of a sudden.
Sure.
Come on, man. I'm going to go to the same game as Swag, but I'm just going to take one of the sides on it. Look, Jake Browning, that was a fun story on Monday Night Football. Like, who saw that coming? Wow, Jake Browning, cool. People don't forget, Jake Browning sucks. The Colts are going in there.
You don't even trash Jake Browning for.
He pointed. Don't point, okay? Show some respect. Act like you've been there before. You were playing Cal, too. Nobody remembers. I like the Colts this weekend, man. The Colts are, like, sneakily playing good football. They're above 500.
Their coach should be in the running for Coach of the Year.
Shane Steichen's having a good year, man. Like, I just think they're the better team. They're the more trustworthy team at this point. I don't really know what to expect out of the Bengals, and I'm going to go with the drop-off factor of there's no way Browning plays that well again. I like the Colts getting 2. I'm taking the Colts +2 in Cincinnati.
All right. Now we're going to lay some more
Colts
wood.
+2.
+2, yeah.
Nobody
dogs, like
owns
dogs.
a team
So
right
I'll
now
double-check.
the way the Niners own the Seahawks. They are on a roll. They are as healthy as they've been.
Yeah.
They've got everything figured out. Seattle's dealing with all sorts of turmoil and the Jamal Adams stuff. I don't know if Kenneth Walker III is back yet or not. I don't think it'll matter. I will lay 10.5 and ride the Niners.
Seems like it's a really good teaser bet for this weekend, too.
That's what I would do. I would stay away from the hook there personally. I don't fault you at all.
Is it 11 or 11.5?
I got 10.5.
I got 10.5 here on Vegas Insider on the DraftKings. I just look at the DraftKings part of Vegas Insider.
Yeah.
Final one for me. Bit of a bigger number, and it makes me nervous because this team is kind of untrustworthy for whatever reason. This is going to be... I'm pivoting.
Uh-oh.
I got nervous.
Uh-oh.
Omaha!
Hot route.
I'm
no.
I'm teasing this team. I'm not taking the Ravens -7. I'll tease them down. I'm going to take the over in Detroit and Chicago. The weather's not supposed to be awful. It's 43.5. I think we get some points. I'm going to take the over 43.5 Detroit,
last
Chicago.
second pivot.
Well, I liked both a lot. I was going to go Baltimore -7, and then I saw this play out like where it's a storm, and it's ugly, and it's like, they win 12-9. Like, no, thank you. I will take the over of 43.5 in Chicago, Detroit.
Okay, my last pick is on that game as well. This has trap written all over it. I don't care, man. I'm falling into the trap. The Lions, they figured it out a little bit. I know the Saints came back and made it a game late. The Saints are better than the Bears in my mind. Like, this line's only 3.5. The Lions are still playing potentially for home field advantage, depending on what happens with Philly this weekend. They're a 3-loss team. The Niners are a 3-loss team. The Cowboys, they're in the mix for that. They have a lot to play for. They're on the road in Chicago, who's I just don't get it. I don't get the line. I'm taking the Lions -3.5 in Chicago, my last pick.
More wood over here. I am riding the heater that the Dolphins are on.
That's why you're number 1 on the poll question.
He's laying all the big wood, man.
They are looking at the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Titans stink. Dolphins -13.
-13.
Dude, I commend you.
Today I'm laying the big wood.
That's how you become the Tyga of Portland sports media on OnlyFans is I lay big wood.
That's how he's doing it.
And then we tune in and we find out, it's kind of medium wood, but I like how confident he is.
That game's in Tennessee, right? At Titans? Is it in Miami?
No, it's in Miami.
In Miami? Okay.
Yeah. Monday night. Part of the Monday night. You get a doubleheader on Monday night.
Yay.
Yeah. Green Bay, Chicago, or Green Bay,
Giants,
New York.
Danny DeVito against the Packers in the
last game of the week.
Will Levis sucking down some mayonnaise against the Dolphins. Have fun.
Why did you say that like that?
I mean, that's what he does. He guzzles it.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
You've made this very uncomfortable.
So here's what we got today, boys. I'm 26-13. I am on the Cowboys -3.5 against the Eagles, the Colts +2 against the Bengals, and the Lions -3.5 against the Bears. Sprague 18-20-1 on the year. He is on the Eagles +3.5 against the Cowboys, the Broncos +2.5 against the Chargers, and the Lions Bears over of 43.5. Oh my! And Swag at 16-23 is on the Colts Bengals over of 44. The 49ers -10.5 against the Seahawks, and the Dolphins -13 against the Panthers. There you go. We feel good about our picks this week?
Yes.
Feel good.
Okay, good picks.
I like them.
Good job, everybody.
Got some dogs and some points. Let's go.
We are going to wrap it up, answer some poll questions, send you off into your weekend next on The Fan.
Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
There you go, fist pumping your way into the weekend every single Friday. Right now, if you text Sebastian into 503-864-6326, you'll be entered for a chance to win tickets to see Sebastian Maniscalco at the Moda Center on October 26th, 2024. You can go over to 1080thefan.com for all the details. That is Sebastian, Sebastian, 503-864-6326, entered for your chance to win tickets.
Tyler tweeted us, you haven't learned to take the under in Army-Navy yet. No, I mean, if we could legally on the app gamble on it, I would.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Doesn't the under hit every year in that game?
Just
Pretty
about.
much.
And so, like, it's not a lack of not knowing. It's more just...
Not worth the trip to A for it.
Well, we try to do I think Dirt's point is valid. College, we have a good read on college. We're not bad with college picks, but we really only gamble on the NFL. So.
If I could gamble on college football, like on DraftKings, I would spread the line every weekend on college games.
Probably,
I feel like
yes.
college is much easier to gamble than the NFL. But it's just, it's fun to. I enjoy placing the actual bets that I make every week, and then you're emotionally invested in it instead of just having a record next to your name of you're not actually losing money. The reaction is much more serious when you're actually losing money.
Yeah, you could fade us or you can pick with us and win together.
Exactly. If you had to purchase a subscription to one of our OnlyFans, who would you choose? Jason Swigard running away
What's
with
the
this.
percentage?
55% on Swag,
Today I'm laying the big wood.
24% on me, 20% on Sprague.
Wow, dead last.
Dead last, man.
You don't want to see my petite figure?
You're petite.
I think you're more of an open book.
Yeah, we know everything about you.
I think people feel like listening to the show, they got a good read on you.
Oh, so I kind of like that. The mystery of what you are in your private
And
life.
people hear all of these stories and know 95% of them are totally made up, but are curious which 5% might actually be real.
So that's where we're at right now. You can go vote at Dirt and Sprague on Twitter. We retweeted it at 1080 The Fan as well. We had a conversation about OnlyFans today, so that's where that stemmed from.
I think he wins mainly because he makes passionate lovemaking while cursing Canadians.
Yes, I think so. And then he's going to make some crepes in the morning. You're like, dude, you just get everything. It's the full experience
No,
with
it's
Swag.
French toast.
And French toast, yeah.
With my spiked whipped cream.
Does sports betting make you less horny? This is kind of a theme of the show today. We talked a lot about sex. Happy Friday.
We did tag CNBC on that tweet.
We did tag CNBC. 76% of you say no, sports betting does not make you less horny. I have a follow-up question to the 23% that said yes. Why?
Because of losing. Somebody says, basically, I lose, and I just don't feel like doing anything.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to take your anger out on something or, And sometimes it's like a workout. When you're going through a tough day, you have a workout. Oh, stop it, you idiots.
It's 2023, dude.
Can't do that anymore.
You can't be doing that anymore.
I'm
worried.
Tomorrow, quick plug, make sure if you're just sitting around your house and you're tired of the in-season tournament championship game and you don't care about the Heisman Trophy, the Teddy Bear Toss game will be on the CW. Winterhawks, T-Birds.
Yeah.
6 o'clock start, I think. 5.
Yeah. You're doing the game.
You're doing the game.
6 o'clock start.
I'll be in
We're
here
gonna run
bright
with
and
that.
early tomorrow.
Run with that, 6 o'clock
Over
start.
on 9, 10, 10:30.
look at the
Pilots
schedule.
at North Dakota.
BetQL Network, 6 o'clock Sunday
Get
night.
your plugs in.
Me and Lucy Birds.
6 o'clock start. Yep, 6 o'clock start. Knew it all along. So, hey, were you playing us off here? What is this, the Oscars?
Trista cricking us
Come
off
on.
the air.
Get out of here, Trista Crick. All right, I'm not done. I got one more minute to go. So there you go. That'll be on TV tomorrow. What are we most excited for this weekend? Is it the NFL slate? It is the Heisman Trophy, the Cup final between the Lakers and the Pacers?
I am looking forward to the Cup final, but being honest, it's always going to be the NFL games.
NFL slate?
Yeah.
Okay, Jaden Daniels going to win the Heisman Trophy?
I believe so, but I hope Duck fan and Husky fan tunes in to see their guys up there. It's always really cool to see them in the chairs, watch the stories. Somebody tries to make you cry with something.
Oh, yeah, there'll be some tears.
So, just enjoy the moment for what it is.
As somebody who has an actual ticket on Bo Nix to win the Heisman, very vested in the outcome of tomorrow night.
Hoping
luck
for
to
the
you.
upset.
Yeah.
Pull off the upset.
Yeah.
The odds are good now.
Yep.
A lot longer than when I placed that bet in March, but I was a fun bet, and then I thought, wow, I'm actually going to win it. Now it doesn't look like I'm going to win it.
Yeah.
Good luck to the Oregon State men's soccer team and
Cheaters.
the Oregon women's volleyball team. I guess there's not a men's volleyball team
You guys
there.
are buying your volleyball players.
Yeah, you're damn right we are. NIL, you can do it.
We're playing guys who shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, a bunch of cheaters over there. Get your coach out of there, man. Breaking rules and stuff.
Easy. We've lost enough
NCAA's
coaches.
dropping the hammer on ya.
Don't need more Goodwill clothing items,
Well, they just want to get it out of the way now before they get to the championship match.
That's
and
right.
Got them back.
That's
Touche.
right. Good call. That will do it for us, folks. If you missed the show, go check the Service Patriots podcast, 1080thefan.com. Thanks for everybody watching on YouTube. Go subscribe, youtube.com/1080thefan. Make sure you like the video. We love you all. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday at 6 a.m. Calling us next. You're listening to 1080 The Fan.
I'm Trista Crick with BetQL. The historic Army-Navy game is this weekend, and if you've paid any attention, you know that there's one trend you have to play if you're